Hello, one and all, and welcome to continuing coverage of the PGT Heads-Up Showdown, the first inaugural from inside where else but the illustrious PokerGO studio here at Aria Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's a $25,000 buy-in, 32-player invitational. Ali Nejad alongside Czar, Brian Rast, happy to be bringing you the call from the Spades and Hearts side of the brackets. And if that's speaking a foreign language to you, we'll help elucidate in a little bit. Nothing foreign about that face. Phil Hellmuth, the Hall of Famer from Wisconsin, 16-time World Series of Poker bracelet winner, here at our feature table. And where else would you expect to find him? Up against Eric Persson, the owner of Maverick Gaming, born and raised up in Washington, a member of the Shoalwater Bay Indian Nation. Bright blue reppin' Maverick Gaming is Eric Persson. We'll get to more on him later. We have our feature table and then our semi-feature table, where the always outspoken Shaun Deeb, an incredibly talented player who actually has publicly declared that he has his sights set on that 16 bracelet mark that Phil Hellmuth has, the New Yorker. The 2018 World Series of Poker Player of the Year, almost $10 million in live tournament earnings in his career. He's got his hands full with Shannon Shorr, University of Alabama civil engineer graduate. Does a little mountain climbing when he's not trying to scale the summits of these tournaments. Has over $10 million in career tournament earnings at just 36 years of age. Other matches scattered elsewhere in the room include the always memorable Nicholas Rigby, who is right behind our Candace Evers there in this shot. You get a look at the tournament format. There's Nick. 32-player bracket style, as I mentioned, a $25,000 buy-in with the top 4 places paid. 20-minute levels, 30-second shot clock. It is $400,000 to our champion, $200,000 to our runner-up, and then $100K to the players who lose in the semifinals. They will not face off for 3rd and 4th place. And the Spades and Clubs side of the bracket, half of it already completed. Very tantalizing pair of matchups awaiting us between Negreanu and Timon Nakamura, who had an excellent showing in the USPO, and then, of course, Seidel and Darren Elias. Chino Reem and Jeremy Osmus, Jake Daniels and Bill Klein will be facing off, but of course, at hand, we have Rigby Shak, you saw Hellmuth, Persson, Alex Livingston, Scott Ball, Scott Seiver, and Isaac Kempton. Total of 8 matches in play in the room right now. Coverage today brought to you in part by BetMGM. And the wall of noise coming out of my mouth comes to an end, and I cede the opportunity for you, Rast, to make your presence known here with the blinds at 1 and 2,000 and things getting started with 8-9 suited for Eric Persson.
I own 27 casinos across 3 states.
Nice. Where?
Northern Nevada, Black Hawk Market, which is Denver, and Washington State.
Nice.
Oh, wow. Okay.
UNLV and Georgetown University Law on Mr. Persson's resume.
I filled out a little bracket for this. It's a pretty fun way to enjoy the proceedings.
And
make some predictions.
Did you take Mr. Persson over Mr. Hellmuth?
I took Mr. Hellmuth.
I get it.
What's your favorite of the 27 casinos?
Trips, by the way, for Persson on the first hand. Follows through.
I
Probably
actually
the first one we bought Windover Nuggets out of Salt Lake.
Salt Lake?
It was in Windover. It's on the border of Utah and Nevada. Because it started our company, I guess.
So yeah, I actually have in this is the Hearts section. I have Phil Hellmuth squaring off against Scott Seiver, and Scott Seiver taking it. And I actually picked Alex Foxen versus Scott Seiver as my final 2.
Yeah, once that starts cash flowing, you can just buy and buy and buy, right?
Yeah, we took it from 4 million to 15 million EBITDA in the first year and a half, and it's what bought everything else.
Cool.
Interesting turn card here for Persson as he picks up the gut shot, well, 2-way straight draw rather, and the diamond draw. Ace on the end here and a
Persson just checks this down, does not semi-bluff the turn, and does not bluff the river. The turn seemed like a very natural semi-bluff spot to me. I can tell you if that is going to be the way that this is played heads up. Phil.
So I guess so I guess it's how far from Salt Lake?
It's right on the border. My parking garages are in Utah, so it's about an hour and a half drive.
Hour and a half.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'll predict that Phil Hellmuth plays small ball.
Raise.
And tries to take small pots and just take advantage of that.
I would agree.
His opponent's lack of aggression. So this could be a long match where Phil Hellmuth is just trying to grind him down the whole time.
You got a glimpse at those chip denominations there, brought to you by Storm X. And the third pot between these two will go to Mr. Persson, who is 2 for 3.
So this time he did stab to pick it up, and Hellmuth making a pretty tight heads-up fold, in my opinion, there with ace-9 off and the 9 of spades.
Good play.
But
and yet another data point that suggests this one could go the distance, so to speak.
Oh, yeah. I'm counting on that.
So am I.
We know Phil Hellmuth is not afraid to stretch these matches out and play a lot of small
You
ball.
did seem super weak. I almost re-raised before the flop.
The first hand I flopped 3-8s. I had 8-9 of hearts. Would have been bad.
Wow.
I check.
$5,000. Oh.
Ace-9, 6 on the flop in a limp pot, and then Persson bets 5,000, leading out on the turn with that 3-5. Had himself an open ender on the end though. Shuts it down.
Yeah, twice now we've seen that Persson has not bluffed the river. He did stab here with the open
This
end
was a
straight
bad
draw.
card for me.
On the turn.
You're gonna make 15,000, I think.
Probably.
And with just the random 7
Good
high
hearts,
and the limped pre-flop pot with 7 deuce there, but so far no river bluffs. So I'm sure Phil Hellmuth is working that out. We'll see if he makes some big folds later on. That would be my guess, is he might make a fold that looks a little big later on a river card.
Right, if he sees any sort of initiative demonstrated by Persson.
Where now he's betting the river, might fold some strongish, but like mostly bluff catching or just barely beating a weakest value hand type spot. Let's keep a lookout.
Getting a peek here at the semi-feature table, where Shaun Deeb is out to an early lead, about 218,000 to 182 to start this pot, where Shorr has flopped himself top pair on the 9-high 2-diamond board. Defended his big after Deeb opened to 5,000 and now is checked and faces a 6K follow-through as Deeb playing somewhat aggressively. Just a flat from Shannon. Now the turn, a coordinated 7 of diamonds, bringing the flush in, giving Shorr 2 pair and Deeb an open ender.
This is one of the few action cards. Shaun is, okay, he doesn't decide to bluff this. He definitely could have.
And he gets there on the end.
With his kind of open-ended, only jack high, it was a card he could have barreled, and obviously Shorr would not have folded the turn with 2 pair. Now he has the worst hand, and we'll see. He might value bet it himself. If he checks, I think he'll call a bet. Yeah, he value bets it himself.
And a snap call there from Shaun with the 6.
I like the decision to value bet it himself there, especially in spots where you're not getting raised by a 6. Because if you're going to, unless you think your opponent's going to bluff a lot when check 2, given them checking back the turn, that's pretty opponent dependent. There's a lot of value to be had, and if you're not getting raised by a straight, it feels like a good spot to get some value there for essentially top 2 pair, or pretty close to it.
Back over to the featured table, where Persson made it 5,000 to go pre-flop and is now following through for 10,000 on a Jack 8-6 board, where he has flopped an open ender. Hellmuth with a gutty. Does not want to see a 7.
For a pot-size bet here, it's really uncomfortable with Phil's hand. So yeah, okay, he ends up folding it. I think to a smaller sizing,
a big raise.
He would have continued.
I almost did it.
So yeah, he was thinking about raising
I
himself.
must be good.
Had a straight draw.
In 9-10.
9.
Well, get in the game with PokerGO Hold'em, the brand new social poker game from the creators of High Stakes Poker. PokerGO Hold'em is free to play and available now on all of your favorite devices. Find it in the App Store or Google Play, or by going to PokerGoHold'em.com.
Check.
Limp pot, all spade queen high board here. Hellmuth with middle pair. Full pot size bet. Persson folds the 7-high flush draw. Well, once upon a time, back in 2005, an NBC Heads-Up Poker Championship was born, and Phil Hellmuth was crowned champion, not only during that event, but also multiple other heads-up events, including 2009 and 2013, and of course, away from the NBC Heads-Up Poker Championship, he's had some successes in heads-up formats. Of course, recently the high-stakes duel. Hellmuth was undefeated for, I believe, 7 matches before Tom Dwan stepped into the arena. And here, Hellmuth has picked up the 2 aces. Persson made it 5,000 to go, got 3-bet to 15K, and is going to hang in there for another 10. You at all surprised by that choice?
I mean,
Check.
I don't want to say that I'm surprised necessarily, because Persson's so far shown that he's playing very unconventionally. I had no idea what he was going to do. I don't know if he knew what he was going to do.
Look at this, by the way. Hellmuth
Versus the 3-bet.
Checking after 3-betting. Persson taking the initiative by firing with bottom pair. The 5 pairs on the turn, 2 quick checks, and then a dark check from Hellmuth.
Check.
And he's not going to get any further commitments from Persson.
I mean, Persson's definitely shown at this point that he's playing very unconventionally, so I feel like he was legitimately considering 4-betting with the 7-4. Probably all 3 options, call, fold, raise. You know, I'm not sure calling a 3-bet with 7-4 off is the best option, but, you know, Phil also taking an interesting line. I thought his decision to dark check the river after the 5 pairing and his opponent checked back was a little weird. Given the way Persson's played and the fact that Persson hasn't bluffed the river yet, I personally, you know, I would say the best play would be to value bet it myself. Against an opponent who showed not shown a willingness to bluff rivers after the turn check back as Phil, I would prefer a dark bet to a dark check for what it's worth, but you know.
And a peek in on Nick Rigby, who is squaring off against Dan Shak, and the man who gave us the diaper, deuce 3 suited, and then of course the dirty diaper, deuce 3 offsuit, deep into the main event at the World Series of Poker. Rigby putting that hand to work, riding it to glory, and definitely etching his name into the minds of poker aficionados everywhere.
Yeah, we got clarification from him actually
prior to the
yeah, we ran into him, so I didn't know about the difference between the diaper and the dirty diaper. I just kind of thought the dirty diaper was deuce 3, but no, in fact, diaper is deuce 3 suited, and you know, there's levels to this.
Yeah, the dirtiness stemming from the offsuit nature of the deuce 3. If you make a boat with it, do you call it the full diaper?
Yeah, actually. you should expand on this one, you know.
The leaky diaper is perhaps a busted straight. Meanwhile, Hellmuth limped with the 2 3s, and Persson shot it up to 7,000 from the big.
6.
Fans with the queen 10 on an ace 7-5 board, and look at this check raise from 6 to 18,000. And I don't think Phil expected this, Rast.
No, Phil just trying to make a little protection bet here and get a hand like queen 10 off, which has, as you can see, 30% equity to fold. This is a really tough spot for Phil to continue here. I mean,
I think you're bluffing, but I guess I have to wait for a little stronger.
Yeah.
Good bet.
No, he was definitely right, but the value proposition just wasn't there. And now we are seeing a very different side of Eric Persson, who initially we had profiled as maybe being
second best hand of the day.
Passive and super snug.
You won with your
I
best
didn't say
hand.
that. What I said is we haven't seen him bluff the river, and so far that's true.
Well,
but he's definitely mixing it up
I don't think
in
any
the other
pot I'm going to
spots.
win against you is going to be small.
I think I'm just going to win a ton of little pots against you.
That's what they all try to do. And
I'm
they
not
do
all
it.
of them. I'm totally different, Phil.
All the other guys,
I'm
they
totally
beat me.
different.
They all beat me 60% of the hands. Almost every player.
No, I'm going to beat you more than that.
65?
Probably.
Yeah, that sounds right. As long as I win the match easily, I'm happy.
But I'll win the last hand.
Well, it's unclear
It's
who's
really hard
mentored.
when you win 65% to win the big pots, too.
Nah, 2 out of 3 means you win the last hand. 2/3 of the time.
Persson in poker, but in terms of his
they all win 60%.
I'm not all of them, Phil.
Okay.
casino acumen, he's
I'm
mentored
not
by
all of them.
the late Sheldon Adelson and
A raise.
Michael
Raise
Goggin,
7,000.
the owner of the South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.
Well, Hellmuth just giving up the jack-8 off there.
I never thought you were all of them. I think one in my last 15 heads-up matches, I won 50%.
Maverick Gaming, by the way, named after Eric's son, who's gonna
Raise.
turn
Raise
7
6,000.
soon.
Check.
Check the raise.
Looks like Persson has changed up his strategy. So Phil does this all the time where he talks to people and gets them to interact with them, kind of like, oh, you think you're going to bluff me every hand,
Check.
all this stuff.
Oh,
You know,
this is a
obviously
big
it's
card here, Rast. Persson makes the aces. Hellmuth, who flopped the Broadway draw, is there.
15,000. Call.
Check 3 X's it to 15K. Person's drawing dead.
Oh, wow. He's going to probably pay this off.
It depends on the sizing, maybe.
No, I think
42,000.
he's going to pay it off.
35,000.
Well, he held the chips in his hand as though it was a foregone
He's
conclusion.
going to pay it off. Watch.
Yeah.
Straight.
Straight.
See, this is so this hand cut off what I was saying, but
That's annoying.
Phil does this whole thing where he talks to people and this and oh, you're going to steal from me and this, but I'm going to win the big pot and whatever. But what happens is then people just play. I'm not saying this hand was playing bad versus him, but to me, actually, you could already see Persson changing the way he was playing. He's gotten more aggressive. Like Phil somehow worked him up to like, I'm going to steal pots with him. He went from kind of playing some small pot poker, limping, stabbing once or twice to now he's like raising it up with the king 6, raising this,
Yeah.
bet, you know?
Yeah.
So like Phil does this to
Raise.
people. See, look,
7,000. Call.
here we are. Now every pot's getting played. Every pot's a little bigger. Person's a little worked up.
Well, to be fair, he
Check.
did have king
He
queen
did have a good
here,
hand.
and Hellmuth has flopped the ace and checks back in
Still
position.
Check.
Still check.
Hellmuth checked back 2 streets. And now
6,000.
puts a little 6K stab out there, but Persson will not bite with the nut no pair. And Hellmuth out to a pretty big lead here, better than 2-1. Persson is not pleased. Now we swing it around to action between Dan Shak and Nick Rigby, and it appears Dan Shak has got himself at risk. All in here with King 10 of spades, we're being told, up against an ace 6 on an ace queen 6 2-spade board. So Rigby, top and bottom pair up against the Broadway draw and the spade draw. A lot to fade here for this aces up of Nick Rigby.
And a blank.
Yeah, so far clean, that 9 of clubs. No help to Shak, who has just 1 tug. Will he be able to hit the jack or the spade and avoid elimination? Here it comes. It is a red jack.
Ooh, that
Dan
mixed with
Shak
Broadway.
hits the gutty and gets there the hard way, and Rigby is going to get doubled through here. That one is not going to have a smooth finish. We've seen some pretty stoic reactions to river cards here in this
Yes.
first round.
Yes,
Just
100%.
a flutter of the eyelids. Accounting is completed. And if you are unfamiliar with the Yinzer legend, Nick Rigby, since appearing in the 2021 main event, has gone to the World Series. Got snubbed for GPA Hand of the Year with that diaper. 33rd at the $1,500 Hard Rock in Cincinnati, and then took down an $1,100 buy-in event at the Seminole Hard Rock. So this man is the real deal, approaching $200,000 in career tournament earnings is the 34-year-old, and we'll check back with the two of them later on, I'm sure. Meanwhile, we get a look at a draw that had to be disappointing for these two guys, and Shaun Winter and Sam Soverel, regulars inside the studio here and all of the high roller events on the PokerGO tour.
Been playing high stakes for a long time.
Yes, they have.
Played with both of them years and years ago.
Over 18 million in career tournament earnings for Soverel, 31 years of age. Winter with over 21 million at 31 years of age. And most recently, of course, he won the overall title at the US Poker Open in the very final event. He had been snubbed on a couple of occasions in the history of that specific major, but finally made it happen. 31st on the all-time money list is the Floridian. Lives here in Vegas now.
Check.
Meanwhile, back at our feature table, we catch up with Hellmuth and Persson, who flopped the jack and fills up on the turn. Hellmuth had the open-ender check back and doesn't want to pursue it with trips on board.
Yeah, we see Phil Hellmuth just, I mean, not betting at pots. Didn't bet his open-ended straight. Draw there. Like I said, the thing about Hellmuth is he has this like table presence where he alters the way his opponents are thinking, their state of mind, how they want to play against him, and he manipulates it to his advantage. It is what he does really well. So
2,000.
6-7 suited, an absolutely massive flop here in a limp pot pre. As Hellmuth check calls 2,000 with bottom pair, a gut shot, straight flush draw. Does not improve on the river after a check back from Persson,
2,000.
who sprinkled the 2K in there in position with the gutty and then lets it go after Hellmuth tries to milk him on the end.
Phil was doing more with that bet than that. What he didn't want to do was check and face a large bet. And I think he probably decided his opponent wasn't going to bluff raise him enough there, so he just went with the min bet to control the bet on the river, right? Maybe he was going to get value from it, but more than anything, he thought that bet would control what his opponent did and make him easier to play against and refrain from seeing a larger bet the other way that he didn't want to see with just a pair of sevens.
Check.
Check.
I still check.
Both players checking this 2-heart-2 ace flop here. Hellmuth has the best of it with jack high. We see a river bluff here from Persson. Now this is something new.
7,000.
We haven't seen this so far. This sizing is a little, okay, so this is what I'm saying. Hellmuth was suspicious because we haven't seen him bluff so far.
Yeah.
Hellmuth gave him credit for it. So
Sure did.
Which makes a lot of sense to me because
Good
Hellmuth has seen him pass up spots where he has zero showdown and just not bluff.
Yep.
So
a peek now at Alex Foxen facing off against Simon Yu. Simon is the CEO and co-founder of Storm X, one of the sponsors of our event. Recently participated in that invitational event here at the studio. A wide range of crypto evangelists and poker players gathered around. Finance degree from UW for Simon, lives out in Miami. Got his hands full with Alex Foxen. Foxen with over 21 million in career tournament earnings. And perhaps one of the steeliest sets on the circuit that'll be daggering across the felt at Simon during pots. Two-time GPI Player of the Year.
no idea what those two had, but we could both see them with the full-on display of their poker faces.
Well, here's one of the more fun matchups in the room, Rast. Justin Young and Richie Sklar. What a couple of characters these guys are.
Yeah, Justin
A
Not
beardless,
drinking beer.
a beardless Justin
No
Young.
beard and no beer.
Yeah, what is going on? It's a new man.
Yeah.
Now he does enjoy a couple of fingers of scotch or whiskey in addition to beer, but I don't even, who is this guy? I mean, when was the last time we saw him
Yeah, without
this
the beard.
this well groomed?
Oh, he has an engineering degree.
Meanwhile, Richie Sklar, a long-time professional gambler. Oh, the stories he can tell. The short one is about his time at USC. Likes to play the mixed games, likes to play a little bit of Chinese poker, and above all else, likes to hit the golf course with
Likes
guys
to
who
bet.
like to gamble.
Likes to bet. Listen, I've seen Richie in Bobby's room in and out, and listen, he walks in, there's almost always a discussion about politics and this, and
Yeah.
who's going to win the presidency,
Right,
and this,
right,
and Trump,
right.
this, that. He's always talking, he's always betting, he's always in the action.
The late Mike Sexton actually lived with Richie Sklar for a couple of months.
Oh, really? Okay.
Once upon a time, and that's
Yeah.
another guy who had a lot of stories to tell.
Yes.
For sure. Richie likes the ponies. He's got some history around the track.
The man is a gambler's gambler.
He really is.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a bit of a dying breed, so it's kind of nice to have guys like this still around, still splashing it up, creating a little bit of contrasting color out there in an otherwise somewhat homogenous echelon, which is the high-stakes poker community these days.
Yeah, his approach is it's not really poker centric. It's just like anything involved with gambling.
Yeah.
So, as we can see, golf, horses, yeah, a little bit of poker.
Sure.
Why not?
Meanwhile, got a situation here between Shorr and
Sports.
Deeb. Pair of tens for Shannon. Value betting this river. Second pair. It was top pair on the flop, and Deeb trying to bluff catch with this ace-4 of clubs, which turned into a wheel gutter. Pre-flop, Shorr made it 5K to go. Deeb 3-bet to 19. Both players checked that 10-7 deuce flop. Deeb check call 24,000 on the turn with that wheel gutter and the ace high, and then on the river decided he wanted to look his man up. And now Shorr has a better than 2-1 chip lead. Definitely turned it around since losing with the 9s and 7s last time we were here. You have much seat time against Shannon Shorr, Rast, if any?
Yeah, I've played with him here and there over the years. I mean, one of the best runs I had in a WPT event, well, one year I got 7th, and I bubbled the TV final table. And I believe Shannon Shorr, I think he might have final tabled it that year. This is the 25K WPT championship. So I think he was either there or he was in the final 2 tables. And he's been around forever, as you can see how long he's been playing poker for. So I've randomly here and there, you know, been at tables with him or whatever. But not in cash games, no.
Strikes me as a gentleman. Story checks out. He's got those southern roots. Working man's hand, offsuit edition on the button. Blinds have crept up to 1,500 and 3,000. 7K open. Deeb defends with Motown. 8-6 tray. Gutshot straight draw for the pre-flop raiser. Dust for Deeb, who checks it.
Yeah, and a spade. I expect Shorr to most likely win this pot. It's going to be very hard for Deeb to continue. So whether Shorr bets the flop or DeLacy bets turn, just unless a jack rolls off, it's going to be a very tough pot, or Deeb just decides to really go for it. It's going to be a tough pot for him to win. There's no reason to really go for it with his particular holding.
Back over to the feature on the button. Persson made it 8K to go. Phil Hellmuth defends. Dark checks. 7-5 trade, 2 hearts.
Check.
A check back from Persson, who's got the best hand with ace-queen. 4 hearts on the turn. Actually, it's ace-trade that's the best hand, forgive me. And now it's a chop as
I had you for a second.
bottom pair turns into a 7-high straight for both players.
Well, that an ace didn't come.
Oh.
That might have been expensive.
You want to talk about expensive? That looks like a frosty wrist there.
Yeah. How many carrots?
It's carrots and celery, my friend.
Call.
Check.
Check.
Hellmuth consistently playing small pots, as predicted.
And Persson has kind of mixed up his willingness to just raise out of position and then check back.
5,000.
Bets his 10 on the turn, and Hellmuth just gets away from the gutty.
You can see no c-bet flop, king high, insta fold. He is just playing small pots. It is the way he's going to do this. I'm not saying he's never going to bluff, but Phil has clearly worked out a strategy that is a different strategy than he would probably normally.
I think he wants to dictate the terms of when big pots are played,
Yeah.
as opposed to allowing Persson to create those situations. And playing small pots, it's going to make this task of Persson climbing back into this match difficult.
I check.
Check.
Ace high, check calls the 9-6 deuce flop. Persson turns an open ender and checks back.
Check.
Now he hits the 8 on the river. And Hellmuth's going to be a little bit disappointed. We cut to Shaun Deeb briefly there. That was like a glitch in the Matrix.
Persson doesn't double barrel when he actually picks up his best card. Well,
You check your way to victory.
really
Phil.
one of his best cards, I guess, other than like the king
Well,
or
not
the
the
8
last few
itself. But
hands.
7's his next
Keep
best
getting
card.
there on the river.
But
But usually I check my way to victory.
Not tonight.
Interesting that Persson has taken note of this
Raise.
strategic deployment
8,000.
from Hellmuth, saying you're going to check your way to victory. Ace king suited against queen 8, and an ace high flop
Check.
is an all Persson affair. After the limp from Hellmuth, he made it 8,000 to go, and after the check back from Hellmuth, he is now betting 5,000 on the turn. Oh, and now Hellmuth doing something we haven't seen from him yet, and that is pushing back on
That's your first raise.
this Persson lead.
yeah, so this raise is essentially Hellmuth saying I'm going to risk 12 to win 21K in the middle that my opponent right now has nothing. 3-bet me light, doesn't have anything, is going to lay it down. You know, that's not the
Come on,
case. Persson obviously has a big hand, and I think Phil will just snap give this
what I
up
thought.
here. Yeah, yeah.
When you hear Persson say, that's what I thought.
Come on, Phil. Try that somewhere else. Or try here. It's a better, I guess. Never mind. Try here.
A little speech play coming from Camp Eric. I like it.
He is not gonna let Phil dominate in that regard, and actually has responded and replied to everything. But actually, you know, Phil is so practiced with his whole shtick
Raise.
that I think he has a very good feel for
So easy.
what it means when opponents do this. So I
You
think
don't make
he's
that straight. I basically have you stacked by now.
my take.
Dude, you sucked out on me 3 big pots. For
They weren't big pots.
You said there's no
They-
money in there. They were
They weren't big
30,000
pots.
each.
They weren't big pots.
You're down to 40K if you don't hit those
They
hits.
weren't big pots.
You
I
raised
just
before
don't know
the
if you'll
flop.
make 90 minutes. That's the only question.
He's
If you
letting
keep
his
hitting the-
opponent think he's going to
if you
run
keep
over
getting
him,
there
and
with
almost
queen 10
encouraging him
against
to
ace
do
queen,
so.
You'll be all right.
You do pretty well with Queen 10.
But I don't think you're going to keep hitting it.
Well, you're starting to get a sense of exactly why it is that Persson has been featured on the current
And
season
I do
of
think you're going
high-stakes
to keep
poker.
raising with it.
Well, at least you're trying to think.
He's got some lip on him, doesn't he?
Check.
Ace
Check.
7-5 with a couple of hearts here.
Check,
Both of
check.
them check this limp pot.
I still check.
Check.
Persson with 7s.
Still check.
Now,
Phil
does
misses
Phil,
his gutter.
4,000.
yeah, Phil turns a non-showdownable hand into a bluff here. Pretty easy call given the way this played for a pair of sevens, to be honest.
I'm going to donate 4. I know
You win. 6 high.
Yeah.
Well, at least you finally bet. You reached down and bet, Phil. Congratulations. You fucking did it. It didn't work, but you did it.
This guy is funny.
Well, I'll
It's
tell
better
you
when you play
something.
the 7 high and checked it, though. You know? You're learning.
Historically speaking, there is a threshold and a point
Not everybody's as good as poker as you are.
That's true.
to which Hellmuth will tolerate these sorts of disrespectful barbs. And then there's a point at which it starts to get to him a little bit. And
Yeah.
I'm not so sure that when it gets to him, it's a good thing for Persson, because it's when Phil digs even deeper than he does already a lot of times to play his
I don't
super
know.
A
We'll
game,
see.
no? Or maybe a little zoom, as Negreanu christened it?
I feel like there are times when Phil gets tilted and it's obvious and it's not necessarily good for him. But, you know, that can work out. I feel like he has a pretty good strategy, which so far, to me, has been somewhat effective. I don't mind his bluff at all in the river there. His opponent showed he's willing to just check down.
Check.
If his opponent had king or jack high, I mean, 6 high is losing to that. He ran into second pair, which his opponent thought about on the river.
Well, the ace high is running to trip sixes, and Persson is slow playing it in a limp pot pre. Check calls the 3K.
Yeah, Phil's not going to bluff ace high here, and we'll check the river if given the opportunity. I'd also guess, I don't think he calls a bet here if Persson bets. He's not beating anything. The flush got there. Yeah, I don't see him picking this off. Yeah, snap fold.
By the way, I don't want to make a meal of it, but that is the second time we've seen Persson take a deep breath, lean back, and sling his left hand over the back of his shoulder. And the last time he did it, he had ace-king on the ace-high board and 3-bet the turn after being raised. And here, he did it with those trip sixes, so perhaps something to keep an eye on.
Oh, I'm sure Phil's picking up on that. That type of tell's pretty...
It's
pretty
no Oreo
transparent.
cookie at the ear, but it's something, right?
I mean, it kind of is the Oreo cookie of
Right.
the year. It's hard
Scott
not to notice
Seiver
that.
and Isaac Kempton won't be giving one another those sorts of blatant correlative, or corollary rather, movements, as we see Kempton currently in front of Seiver, who both you and I kind of thought was a favorite to get very deep in this event.
Scott has played a lot of heads up in his career. I don't know recently, but back, you know, many years ago, we played quite a lot of heads up on the internet. I've played a lot with Scott. He's very good in the live streets, getting feel for his opponent, getting reads. I think he could do very well in this tournament. But, you know, what's happening here? Oh,
Well, the structure in this particular event was 16 automatic PGT leaderboard qualifiers were invited. Of them, 9 accepted the invitation. And right now, we've got 4 of them in action, and Isaac Kempton, Alex Livingston, Shaun Winter, and Alex Foxen already eliminated as Aliim Sherovich, while Negreanu, Osmus, Seidel, and Nakamura are moving on. And then the remainder of the field was composed of at-large bids, and Simon Yu was the recipient of one of those bids. Looks like he's doing quite well against Foxen here. Look at that stack, Rast.
oh yeah, Foxen's on fumes here, because not even that much is in the middle. And fold, and I mean, it looks like Foxen's down to like 30,000 maybe?
It doesn't look good.
Nope. Well,
Simon, as we mentioned earlier, CEO and co-founder of StormX, deep in the crypto streets, and that's Isaac Kempton's cup of tea. He's a cryptocurrency trader as well.
Oh,
and I
is
know
he?
you too are a big fan of crypto, Rast. You make no mystery about that.
yeah, man, I've been a believer for some years. Nowadays, I would be considered a relatively conservative crypto advocate, as don't necessarily talk about all the coins this and these, like, buy this and that NFT. You know, I'm very much a big believer in Bitcoin and to a certain extent in Ethereum, but, you know, many crypto enthusiasts would consider that to be a very conservative portfolio for what is a pretty wild market.
Not so conservative is the footwear and pant hem. That's a lot of ankle meat we were feasting our eyes on. I think the early favorite for sexiest ankles in the room is going to go to Simon Yu.
Oh, Alex with some frustration there.
Oh, looks like top pair. And if it was fumes before, it's vapors now, Rast. As Foxen Bucks hauled in yet again by Simon Yu. Might he be looking to finish the job? We'll certainly keep an eye on that match. And we swing back over to our first look at Scott Ball and Alex Livingston. Alex looks like he's facing an all-in on the river here and is currently using time banks as he faces this decision. Don't have a lot more to share with you. Livingston.
Yes, viewers are going to have to forgive us when they go to these outer tables if we don't know the exact cards and whether there's a pair or a set.
Don't have RFID technology.
Already been people complaining about this from earlier in the cast today, but the truth is we don't really know. We're trying to do our best. It's, as you can see, it's very hard to see what's on the table. So,
well, Livingston, best known for his third place finish at the 2019 World Series of Poker main event, has shy of $6 million in career tournament earnings. And Scott Ball, president of Endgame Talent, likes to consider himself a professional poker player as well, and heck, with 1.3 million plus in career tournament earnings, a 35-year-old would certainly be within his right to do so. He is the creator of Twitch Poker. And I know many of you are enjoying the stream currently.
He's the creator of Twitch Poker.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Is that a particular stream on Twitch or just poker being on Twitch?
No, just poker being on Twitch.
Oh,
you
wow.
can credit Scott Ball.
Okay.
I was suggesting that that pot there was a wild one. Looks like Livingston laid it down there.
Former head of Twitch Poker. 2 bracelets at 2021 WSOP.
Tough to do.
Yes, it is.
It's weird, though. It feels like almost every series someone wins, too.
Well, I mean, of course.
It's still tough to do.
Yes.
But is that like where 2 people have the same birthday after you have like 30-some-odd people in the room?
That was
24 total.
exactly what was in my mind, and I was going to say, but you beat me to the punch. But yes, similar idea.
Well, listen, if this poker thing doesn't work out, Alex has got his toe in the pizza streets up in Toronto, part owner of a chain out there. I don't think Alex has ever looked more Canadian than in that green and blue flannel that he's rocking right now. That feels like a Halifax special.
Oh, here we go. Back to the main event.
Where are we at? The gap narrowed?
It looks, I mean, I don't see many blue chips over there on the right, so it does look like Phil. I don't see those dark blue chips.
Well, they might be hiding to the right of the red stacks. By our indication,
yes.
It's a 40K advantage for Hellmuth heading into level 3. The blinds 2,000 and 4,000 back here at our featured table.
Yeah, there must be hiding. Oh yeah, okay. We can see there. It's still a narrow. Oh yeah, they're hiding. We can see.
Well, maybe from us, but not from Phil, of course.
No, yeah, just from that one camera angle. Persson is even this up, very even in chips, and we can see he's almost certainly been winning most of the pots as he has all those red 1K chips.
Right, the blind
And
chips.
Hellmuth has that dad stack over there of only the big denomination chips.
Check.
Check.
Dark check and check back as both players miss the ace-king-10 flop.
Check.
As well as the turn and the river
No check.
in a limp
9
pot
high.
pre.
9 is good.
I'll tell you what, Rast, the vibe I'm getting off of Persson is that he wants to make it a point to not let Phil think he's just going to run him over.
Yeah, well,
and that he's not going to be intimidated.
Yeah, no, I think it's more the second one because Hellmuth clearly isn't trying to run Persson over, so there'd be no point to make there. That said, he's definitely made a point that he won't be intimidated. Anytime Phil Hellmuth is verbally jousted, Persson has come in with something to say afterwards, right? Responded.
I guess you're doing everything wrong today then, Phil.
I am?
Case in point.
As you just said.
No.
But I feel like Phil is not instigating him right now because he actually doesn't want Persson to play more aggressively. Because when Phil was instigating him earlier, we saw Persson, you know, starting to bluff more, starting to make more plays. Now he's being very quiet, and I think we've noticed like Persson didn't ever bet or bluff the 7 high, has played a little bit more passive. I do think there is an element of that, and I think Phil's realized it. And to me, that would be why Phil has backed off of any kind of verbal challenging, because it's very clear Persson is stepping up every single time to say, you're not gonna, you know, you're not the bigger man at this table like I am.
And here he is.
Take a quick 2-minute break. I'm just gonna run to the bathroom.
Okay.
Raising it up out of the big after a Hellmuth limp, and Hellmuth negotiating an unscheduled break here. This is a little bit out of character. I almost feel like it's a flex of sorts.
I doubt it. I think he just has to go to the bathroom.
Sure.
Yeah.
But to even not hold it and ask for a 2-minute unscheduled break, he's still the chip leader, so it's not as though he's licking wounds and recentering. But on the topic of licking wounds, there are some deep ones right now being dealt to Alex Foxen by Simon Yu, as yet another pot goes Simon's way. Well, there have been some very unexpected outcomes already, and might this be another one to add to the likes of Bill Klein beating Phil Galfond?
I mean, listen, they're playing a relatively fast structure, and it's not best of 3 or best of 5 or best of 7, it's best of 1. So, you know, I mean, even if someone's a decent favorite, maybe they're only 55-45 or you know, 60-40. That would be a huge favorite in one of these, being 60% to win. So, you know, I mean, there's going to be, I'm not saying the better players losing or the better players winning in any of these cases, but there's going to be a lot of randomness. I think people should be aware of that. You know, this is not like an NBA playoffs best of 7 series where the better team is a pretty large favorite to win. This is definitely something where anybody can win. Anybody can win one of these matches.
Check.
Okay.
Jack 8 suited, 3Xing.
Ooh.
Hellmuth defends with the king-queen. He's got a gut shot straight draw. He checked dark, a check back from the open ender. Board pairs now on the turn. Hellmuth checks again.
Hellmuth's going to call this with his king-high showdown value and equity here. I'd be surprised if he does anything other than call, frankly.
Sub-third pot, the sizing from Persson, which of course gets called. Another 14 added to the pot.
Check. And
the board double pairs on the river. King-high for Hellmuth. And are we going to see a bluff out of Persson here?
He escaped.
No,
The
he
queen's
checks
good or
back and
something.
shows
Yeah.
I was calling
the
the
jack
river.
high.
That's why I checked, Bill.
Good check.
Phil might not have actually been calling the river. No, he might have, definitely. There's
I
no
think he might have.
Yes, but him saying, I was calling the river,
It's a free roll.
that's a little bit of gamesmanship right
Sure,
there.
sure.
I think if he bet, given how little we've seen Persson bluff the river, it's been one time and Phil didn't call to find out, by the way, he definitely might not have. That said, it's gamesmanship there, because Phil wants Persson to keep playing the way he's been playing. So that 100% was,
Right.
to me, why that comment was spoken. Whether or not, it's not so much about the truth of it, but more about what he's trying to manipulate Persons to do.
Check.
Hellmuth limping the ace-king on the button. Flops the
Check.
Broadway draw against the open ender. A blank deuce on the turn as no chips are deposited post-flop.
Ace high.
Good.
And Persson showing the 10 tray. I don't think there's really any need to do that, because obviously you're giving Hellmuth free information he hasn't paid for. Now Phil knows that.
Match could have been over if you had ace queen there and
Open-ender.
And I jam it and you decide to call off?
Never bet it.
You're not going to win, Phil. The match couldn't be over.
I've heard it before in lots of heads-up matches.
Not for me.
It's the same thing every time. I mean, Jesus.
Looks like Soverel and Winter.
Soverel's all in
up
for his tournament life there. Looks for a little over 100K, so probably this is something like 280 to 120K stack, 120 each in the middle. Looks like ace 10 versus pocket sevens would be my guess.
Feels like it's in the neighborhood.
I could see the ace 10.
Yeah.
And it looked like sevens.
Maybe eights.
It's a big answer.
Yeah, it might have been eights.
No, 10-8. Oh, a bad spot for Soverel here. Sharing the 10, a bit of a disaster.
Oh, wow.
Picks up the gut shot.
Decent flop for him. Backdoor hearts.
9 of spades.
So 8 or 9 are heart.
9 of spades.
All very good cards for Sam.
Or 8 of spades.
5 is not bad.
Who's Shak? Turn. 3 or 4 side or spade.
Oh,
Deuce pairs, and now Soverel needs an 8 or a 9 on the river if he's going to double and stay alive against the
Are you feeling it?
overall U.S. Poker Open defending champion.
Yeah, you said diamonds? You really said that?
And the river is a tray, so ace 10 will hold, and that is all she wrote for Sam Soverel. The first victim of today's coverage, Shaun Winter, bests him and will await the winner of the Alex Foxen Simon Yu match, which is definitely skewed heavily in favor of Simon Yu at present. I'm sure that is music to Shaun Winter's ears.
I really had a feeling if I raised, you were going to jam. If I lent, you were going to raise full or something. You were definitely raising.
Checking in on that match.
he's fighting. Foxen grinding away. Oh, he's all in now with a 3. Maybe ace 3, hope.
Well, he is down to vapors. Cool as a cucumber is Simon Yu here.
Yeah, ace
4-6.
Oh,
Top
wow.
pair for Foxen.
So, I mean, it's not 100% lockdown, but it's kind of a lockdown flop for the ace 3, and it's over.
It's 23. Run it out.
Yeah, board pairs. On the turn, leaving the king 9 drawn dead.
23.
And so a modest double up for Foxen, who still very much faces an uphill climb. Somewhere out there, his lovely wife, Kristen Bicknell, is likely taking in the action, cheering her man on. Meanwhile, back here at the featured table,
17.
on the river, we find Persson with pocket deuces.
Yeah, it was a beautiful river for you. You were completely dead, and the king saved you.
And here I am stacking chips.
Firing.
I had 8s.
Here I am stacking chips.
It was,
Oh, so I had the
both
best
players
hand
got
pre-flop. You had
counterfeit.
ace 8. And then you got lucky on the flop and hit a pair.
please, please, please.
Is that
I'm
what
sure.
happened, Phil? Is that what happened?
No. What
What
happened
happened
was
to these two hands we got in pre every time.
And it is Shorr and Deeb with an all-in and call situation. Shorr has him covered with the ace-queen suited
We lose
against the Ducks.
84,000. All right, cool. Go ahead and count it out. Got both spades live though. It's okay, if you flop a flush draw, I'm gonna flop a set with it, and I'm okay with that.
Well, that flop, Jack 7, and now there's some
Yeah.
risk of being counterfeited
black
for the
cards
two
to my
deuces,
liking.
which are still in front.
It's a very even flop.
It's never fun to lose this by
With
getting
the
negated.
7 counterfeit, the back door maintains a lot of 50-50 equity there.
Well, now Deeb well out in front Almost a 3-1 favorite to hold, but he needs to do that, and
Full house.
he's
Big
done
hand.
it.
You want to count it or you see? Oh, that. Oh, I was wrong. 79. Try to cheat you. All right.
Official tally, 79,000. That's the double for
Good thing you
Deeb.
checked.
And Deeb's one of these guys
Tried
that can
every
get
move.
real dangerous in this type of event. Rast works really hard on his game and just super competitive as well.
Yeah, for sure. Deeb plays everything. All the games.
Likes the challenge.
Yeah.
Really wants to pit himself against the best. Seiver and Kempton. Their turn now. Ace tray for Isaac Kempton. Ace 10 for Scott Seiver, we're being told. And it would appear that the all-in player is Isaac Kempton based on these stacks. Working to get you a better angle as Sam Soverel taking it in.
Get out of the way.
Seiver's in a great spot here.
Oh,
Oh, a 3 on the flop, though.
Easy as that.
Not what he wanted to see.
Loaded, baby. There's not a single card in the deck that can change this one. Sorry, Scott. Looks like today wasn't your day.
Oh, I'm blocking the camera. Thank you.
Scott appears unamused.
You know the odds of him hitting a turn?
And the turn is a 5. Some opportunities for the
There's
ace
not a
10.
single card in the deck I'm worried about.
Kempton trying to will a hold through. And he's done it as he took the worst of it and will offer up his stack for
That's
a
how you
countdown.
play, Sam. You could have learned to play it.
And a look now at the PGT leaderboard. This is the one that we based our first 16 auto qualifier invites on. Aleem Shervich at the top. 4 W's and almost $3 million in tournament earnings on the circuit thus far this year. Good for 1,839 points. Ivy leaping into second after his performance in the Super High Roller Series Europe recently out in Cyprus. Followed by Jake Schindler and, of course, Isaac Kempton there in 4th place. As his double extends the match between he and Seiver. Meanwhile, we find Nick Rigby and Shak. Is this one over? Looks like it is. Shak rivered a set of 8s against Rigby, who had top pair, we're being told, with Queen 9. Shak jammed the river, so that's it for the run of Nick Rigby. And his energy will be missed in the room, certainly taking nothing away from the advancing Dan Shak, who is also a nice presence. Shak will be moving on to face the winner of the Hellmuth Persson match. Speaking of which, back to the feature. Things have quieted down a bit. Blinds at 2K, 4K.
Raise 12,000.
Raise and take it for the 4s. This match going how you would have expected coming into it, Rast?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely thought Phil was
I need
going
you to bluff more, Eric.
Dan Shak moving on to the second round after beating Nick Rigby. Dan, what went right for you today?
Not really a lot. I had a few big hands. Obviously, the 2-pair flopped against the royal flush draw, and I hit the straight on the river. It was a big hand, or else I'm out. He was very aggressive. I would say he won 70% of the hands, but I always planned, at least in the early stages, on playing patiently and lose the small pots and try to win the big ones. And I got lucky on the last hand and hit a set on the river. So, you know, I thought I played really well, and I was patient, which is what I wanted to be. And I actually wanted to beat him with the dirty diaper, which I didn't, but it's still good to move on. And I'm hoping to meet Phil in the next round because I love a challenge and I love to make him whine.
That would be great. To your point on Rigby, he's certainly a different kind of player than the ones you usually run into in this studio. How did you try to adjust your game to counter that?
I mean, he's actually a great, fun guy. He was drinking shots. He had a rail. I think he's probably the only one with a rail here. So I was having a good time. We were having a good time. And I think whoever won, you know, we were going to be rooting for the other guy. And I like the guy. And, you know, if I was going to lose, I don't mind losing to him. You know, next round will be a different story. So.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow for round 2. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. Thank you. Guys.
And that's our Jeff Platt working the sidelines there as Rigby and his boy in a ritualistic imbibing moment there.
Dan Shak been a staple of big poker tournaments for a long time. I've played with him many times over the years.
And Shak is really, I mean, you know, once upon a time maybe we called him the recreational player, the businessman. I mean, he is in his own right here. Very much has earned his spot in the high roller community. Has a very legitimate presence.
But yeah, I mean, this match is going how I thought. Phil is, you know, done a lot of verbal jousting to see where his opponent's at and try to control it in that sense. And by the other sense, he's been playing a lot of small ball and trying to really maximize his chances of winning this 1-of-1. Okay, Phil peels here. Can't see him peeling to another bet. Persson so far hasn't really done many. Okay, but with the ace of clubs he does. Yeah, pretty easy give up.
10K on the flop, 20K on the turn.
First time we've seen Persson bet twice with a draw there.
2 barrels.
Every other time he's even just kind of fired without that much, picked up a draw. He's slowed down.
To be fair,
you might get it in drawing dead. A lot of people do that.
One of the better draws.
Not a lot of people.
One of the better hands
you
now.
might get it in drawing dead.
I don't think so.
2 black kings for Persson, makes it 12,000. Hellmuth defends with the 6-4 suited, checks dark, and completely fans on this flop.
That could have hurt.
Well, those 20-minute levels
This hand or next hand?
I think next hand.
Yeah, we should be next hand.
$2,500, $5,000 now.
I check.
Persson checking his option with an ace out of the big. Fans on the queen
I
high.
check.
2-heart board. Same story for Hellmuth, who checks back.
I still check.
Hellmuth's probably going to bluff at this at some point. Here we are, he's doing it on the turn. Yep.
Gets it through. Persson did pick up the Broadway draw to go with ace high.
You want to do a side wager? If one of us gets it in drawing dead, we pay the other person $25,000.
So
no upside for me.
What Phil's been doing is he's checking every time he has any showdown. He just insta checks it all the way down. But when he has literal no showdown, he is picking either the turn or river to bluff, and it's pretty consistently been his strategy.
Wow, the bud's on that side now.
So
back over to our semi-feature table. Fairly level are the
I can try my
stats.
pre-count. Nice.
Yeah, 106.
Fuck you that much? I thought you had like 95.
Oh, I take that back. This is what Deeb has left behind as we have an all-in and a call. Shorr started this pot with 106,000. Now he has an ace-9 suited, which needs help against the king-10.
Not a very fun flop.
Doesn't need too much help.
He's out in front, forgive me. But obviously he needs to hold with the best hand. He's got himself a wheel draw.
Oh,
Spade is an unwelcome sight despite pairing Shorr.
Not the improvement you wanted?
it's a bad card for Shannon, actually, because it gives Deeb, the 9 doesn't matter, ace high is already ahead, but it gives him all those spades. We can see it more than doubled Deeb's outs.
14 of them in total that Shannon Shorr needs to fade, and he's done it. And now with that double, the stacks are relatively even.
Back to the races.
Yeah.
Oh, Yes. Livingston is out, it would appear.
Scott Ball has punched his ticket into the next round. Didn't catch the moment. It was an all-in pre-flop. Alex had queen 7 against Ball, who had ace 10.
Jeff, are you doing
Scott Ball.
Oh, yeah.
Moving on to face the winner of the Scott Seiver Isaac Kempton match.
Yeah.
It would appear so far I'm 2 for 11 at who's going to win their match out of the ones.
Could have got 20,000 paid off.
Wrong.
Could have got 20K paid off.
Imagine if you were right once in a while and made a hand.
Wow, what a flop for me. Ooh. 20 dimes.
What a terrible call pre-flop. Drawing to 3 cards. Oh well, I'm sure you can overcome those mistakes someday. I
Check's getting a little chirpy here. They both share a queen. Advantage Hellmuth on this king high board. He bets the open ender and takes it down.
God dang. 20,000.
We send it to Jeff Platt.
You bet out with the full house. That was good.
So Phil there with a draw that can make the nuts, wants to build the pot. Doesn't want that pot to be too small in case he hits.
Scott Ball defeats Alex Livingston in round 1. He moves on to the round of 16 tomorrow. Scott, to us, it looked like a pretty smooth grind, path to victory. How'd it feel to you?
Yeah, I ran pretty good and kind of just like won every hand, to be honest. So it's not very stressful for me.
What kind of challenge did you think Alex would present to you when you saw the draw?
I know he's very good, and I've actually never played with him before ever, and that makes it really challenging because you have no idea what to expect, but I know he's really good. So I knew he was like very capable of running big bluffs and doing cool stuff and making good plays. I just don't think he really had the opportunity to much that match, to be honest. I just kind of ran really good.
I'm not sure how much heads-up experience you have, but I do know that you perform pretty well when it matters. Case in point, 2 World Series of Poker bracelets last year. Where's your confidence level at right now in heads-up play?
I'm very confident in heads-up play. I play a lot of heads-up cash online and stuff still. That being said, there's some people that are like way better than me, but they torture me all the time. So I've learned a lot from those beatings, and most of those guys aren't in this field, so I'm pretty confident.
We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, man.
Guys.
Thanks, Jeff.
Well,
congratulations to
it,
Scott Ball.
You don't. It's good. So good.
And I suspect he may have a rooting interest in terms of the outcome of this particular match, as it is in his bracket, the Hearts bracket. He, of course, will await the Seiver Kempton winner, but then the winner of that match will move on to face the winner of the Dan Shak versus the winner of this match. And not sure I could have made that more complicated. 10-7-7 here as Persson has flopped the joint. The whole world.
A 9 being a nightmare card for Phil here.
10,000.
Instead, it's the queen and a dark 10 on the turn. This person checkman raised and was laughing in the pot.
Oh, shit.
God damn it. What
I'm fucking chip leader, Phil.
Confirmed. Meanwhile, Alex Foxen looks like he is still lacking those blue chips in a meaningful amount, and here he finds himself all in on the flop
Looks like he has a pair of 7s versus
Eights,
maybe 4s.
I'm being told, and it's pocket 4s for Simon Yu.
He's a huge favorite. I mean, if Foxen comes back, this would be a pretty amazing comeback. He was down to like 20K or something. We don't know what his absolute low mark was, but it was pretty low.
35K at least was the low water mark that I know of.
I mean, it looked lower than that at the lowest.
Well, it's headed in the right direction here as the 7-8 holds against the 2 4s. And now perhaps a little bit of wiggle room for Alex Foxen, who is showing his grit.
See how the stupid things you've said. It's not hard. Just rewind. Boom.
Poor Phil. Still think it's 2000. We're at this table because of me, Phil.
What are you talking about?
This beat your table.
I tell you what, I get the feeling that Eric Persson thinks that Phil has an Achilles heel and it's his ego.
Oh, fuck.
He's going in on it.
Queen on the river, fucking 10 on the river, 7.
Fucking drills 3 5s, drawing to a 5. That's what I love about Phil. He remembers half the hands.
Oh, I had ace-5 suited. I called the raise. You have some issues with the truth, don't you?
I have no issues with the truth. Truth is, I'm gonna whoop you.
All right, my patience is out. I'm gonna have to take you out quickly now.
I doubt it. You straighten up your chair?
You've talked.
Oh, no.
Well, if we were playing heads up somewhere else, I could have my headphones on and just ignore all the bullshit. But now I have to engage and just bust you quickly. You're not smart enough to fold, so.
Oh no, Phil's gonna bring his C game.
The gloves are coming off in this one.
I actually don't think Phil's going to change anything. Let's see.
Sticking with the dark check.
5,000.
Ace-high wheel card board here. Hellmuth.
Check.
Check.
Peeling with this queen 10.
Check.
Person's ace deuce gets counterfeited on the turn. He checks back. Now he fills up on the river.
10,000.
Hellmuth tries
30.
to bet
30,000.
the queen high.
Gotta fucking love this game. Man, he brought his A game today. He's gonna beat me in 20 minutes. Yeah. Start the clock.
You might be one of the most, I will say this, you might be one of the most obnoxious guys I've played in the last few years. $11,000.
Great. 11,000.
And that's okay. I think you need to be obnoxious to win, maybe. Maybe you don't have the skills, but.
I'm gonna win, Phil. We're gonna fast forward to the end. I'm gonna beat you. I'm not sure what you're gonna say.
You have no chance. You've had all those river cards and you're still drawing dead.
Let's put 50,000 on it, Phil. You and I, right now.
Is that all you can do? Is offer bets?
Would you like to do 100,000?
Is that all you can do? Offer? Can you play your hand?
I'm
you're
asking
burning my
you.
time, man.
Oh, you just took a fucking leak for 2 minutes. Don't
Yeah.
tell me I'm burning your time.
I asked you before the match.
I
if it was
understand.
okay. You said
I
yes.
understand, Phil.
So now you want to call that out on me too, huh?
It's a fact.
I will say, as a gambler, I think offering a bet to bet more here is like a totally reasonable thing to do. You want to bet more right now? I mean, I get he has a small chip lead, but you know, Phil just said he has 0 chance to win. I think it's like great. Zero chance to win. Okay, let's bet 50K more. It's a very reasonable response to that. Phil acted
It's always
like
hard
it
to
wasn't
decipher in
reasonable.
these heads-up matches. What's happened?
You're getting beat. That's what's happening.
You've been lucky a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And don't recognize it. That's okay.
I actually think
I need you to keep
sometimes,
not
Phil, it's
recognizing
all bullshit, but I actually do think Persson's run better than him at this point, based on what we can see. I mean, he's made quite a large number of hands. Phil's basically made one, and he got paid quite handsomely on it when he did make the straight.
Hellmuth hits his 9 and checks back on this paired flop. Persson hits the 3 and decides to bet it.
Check.
Now it's jacks up on the river for Hellmuth, who looks to milk 5K off of Persson on the end. Just a quarter pot bet.
This would be kind of an interesting spot to see Persson maybe bluff raise. I'm pretty sure he's not really in his wheelhouse based on what we've seen so far.
Also somewhat interesting his willingness to fold despite being laid 5-1 there with the queen tray. You kind of get the sense that he's a guy that goes, who cares, it's 5K. But
no, he's definitely thinking hard about those decisions, I would say. But the idea of maybe turning that into a bluff raise. I think he has a decent candidate with the queen, above average card on that, blocking the king, queen, queen 8.
Raise 13,000. Call.
Check.
Check.
I think versus that sizing, the 3 he's correctly figured out doesn't rate to win very often.
Check.
Persson checking back the 4-5 after fanning on the flop. Hellmuth just flatted the ace-jack, and now the delayed c-bet from Persson after he picks up the bad side of the gut shot.
Fours.
Hits the 4s on the river and wait for it.
This is where Phil is going to start getting frustrated because he is just like losing to.
Good check, Phil. Good check. Check your way to victory.
Jesus Christ.
You're running out of chips, Phil. You're going to have to take a stand pretty soon.
How many fucking cards is he going to fucking
You're running out of chips.
But I do actually kind of like how unrelenting this guy is because it might get to Phil.
You call that justice?
Justice.
All those cards you hit on the river, that's justice?
Justice.
Or someone who's playing badly but getting
Call it
lucky.
justice.
Does he remind you of anybody out there in your...
Fucking kidding me?
There might be one or two people I played with who are a bit unrelenting.
We might have the same person in mind. I was going to see if you wanted to name
15.
names.
No, I'm good.
Oh, wow, look at this. A check raise from 5 to 15,000 and a show from Persson with the 9-4. It's starting to get personal.
You have played before, right? You know it's no limit hold'em? You know what we're playing? Nice
so
check.
obnoxious.
Nice bet out. It was so
I'm
good.
still, at the end, I'm going to shake your hand and say good match. When I bust you?
I appreciate
I'm
that.
still going to say that to you.
I
But
so
I mean, what the
appreciate
heck? I
that.
mean, you're so obnoxious. This is crazy.
Coming from you, compliment.
Person's wife, Anna, documenting this moment.
At least if I'm playing a pro, they can say, yeah, I was lucky this hand and that hand. You say, oh, well, I started with, let's go back 13 hands when you did this and I did that. And
I don't sound like a farmer. I do not sound like a fucking
sound
farmer.
like that to me.
I don't sound like a farmer to you.
Yeah.
I sound like the man that's going to beat
like
you
that.
right now. That's what I sound like.
Well, if you keep beating me with ace-jack suited against 4-5 drawing dead every
I'm the man that's going to end this tourney on you. That's who I am.
Oh,
Check.
check.
I think you're going to give it all to me if you want the truth.
I know. You've been wrong all day long. Why would you not start now?
Ooh,
check.
This action flop right here.
Yeah, Jack 4 tray rainbow. It's bottom 2 against the open ender.
Call.
Check call of 5,000 from Persson.
Check.
Check.
Phil's going to bet.
10,000.
Yeah. Now, will 5-2 raise? Or will it just call, trying to make its hand? I mean, a fold here would seem a little crazy. Persson has played very unconventionally.
He is mulling it over here.
Yeah, he just calls.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I am beat here.
Phil doesn't believe that.
Yeah.
Check.
Check.
Speech play. 9 of clubs. Somewhat
He's gonna
coordinated
go. He's
card.
probably going to find like what, 25K. I'm going to go something like that. I think he wants to get called by just like one pair.
It's okay. It's straight draw. I got 4 high or 3 high or 5 high.
No, it was just a fold.
Oh, he just folded out
Yeah.
of turn, yeah.
I don't care if we suit.
A fold.
I had 2 pair.
No action.
I needed you to have a jack.
No, I had 2, 3, 4, 5.
I know. I flopped 2 pair.
That's what I was trying to decide. If you had 2 pairs, for some reason I called it 10.
Well, the reason is you hit an ace or a 6, and you're going to
Cha-ching.
win a decent pot.
Come on, man.
And these guys are basically even. It's going to be the last match, probably.
Depends what scorecard metric we're using, because if it's table talk, I think you got to give the edge to Persson by a somewhat wide margin.
I agree.
And Hellmuth is unamused. Persson mocking him, needling him, laughing at him. Really, as you mentioned, unrelenting.
Completely unrelenting.
But is he going to stay this way if suddenly Phil doubles through him and it's like a 2-1 chip lead for Phil?
Double through at this point is basically winning the match for either player. But yeah, no, if Phil wins a huge pot, I don't think so. I mean, I think this is kind of mostly based off of being in there and doing well and having chips. It doesn't, I don't know. I don't think he's ever backing off, but I think the nature of it will change if all of a sudden he was very short on chips, right? I mean, it's just kind of incongruous and nonsensical if you're saying how bad the other guy's playing and how you're going to win if you have 20,000 in front of you and the other guy's got 380.
Raise 13,000.
33,000?
Oh, wow. Phil, this is a
33,000.
departure from what he had been doing. He had not been playing aggressively, and this is definitely a hand that's pretty good. So that's a bit of a new move from Phil here, I would say. I'm not saying right or wrong, but so far he's just wanted to see flops and very much play post-flop, and that's a good post-flop hand there, suited ace. So.
Well, the PokerGO shop is where you can find the best poker merchandise, including the brand new PGT and high-stakes poker shirts and hoodies. We've even got a special Queen 4 offsuit shirt in honor of Phil Hellmuth. Head on over to shop.pokergo.com to shop now. The legend of that Queen 4, I thought it was Queen 5, but
no, Queen 4
I'm
off.
sure we wouldn't make the shirt if it wasn't Queen 4, but that one's going to stick with Phil for a very, very long time.
Yeah, I mean, so far with you right now, Ali, I've been kind of talking about a lot of things that maybe Phil Hellmuth's doing right or what he sees doing right. There was nothing right about what happened in that hand. I will say Queen 4 off made all the sense in the world as a hand to kind of 3-bet bluff with, right? That's what he did. When his opponent 4-bet jammed, it's just a pretty easy fold, really. I mean,
well, it's supposed to be.
So nothing I agree with that play.
Two-way straight draw for Persson, not
Gosh,
the flop
the
ace-4
range
suited
straight
was
flop.
looking for.
So
big hand. Let you get there.
Well, yeah, I don't know. That ace-4 suited 3-bet, not that there's anything wrong with that, perfectly fine play, but just it's been a departure. Phil's clearly been trying to see flops and play small ball with them, and that hand was, to me, a strategic departure from that. Let's see if that strategy maintains or it was just a one-time deviation.
And he limped with that suited ace in that pot just now, ends up folding to the bet from Persson as we scoot back out to the Scott Seiver, Isaac Kempton match. Seiver, king, queen of clubs, Kempton 2 5s, and he now has Seiver covered, the flop. Ooh, 4, 6, 7, not a great one for the king, queen, as there are now cards that can ice this pot in favor of Kempton.
Sorry, Scott. You're done for. You're washed
A
up.
set of 5s on the turn for Kempton, and now Scott needs to chop with a 3 or an 8. Instead, it's the deuce, and young Isaac Kempton is notching his name in the next round. And Rast, I think a slight surprise for you and I, who really were touting Seiver as one of the odds-on favorites to get deep in this particular event.
I like Scott's chances. There's no odds-on favorites. These are very flippy. each of these matches, it's like anyone can win, as we were saying. But yeah, you know, you got to pick somebody. I had picked Scott, but I mean, my record at picking people right now is terrible. I'm looking at this bracket I had filled out. Not that I gave it a lot of thought, but I believe I'm currently at I'm at 2 out of 12.
Where's my phone?
Kempton looking to carry on the momentum he began over at the Win Millions just recently.
You know those guys who bet sports and are like, man, I'd be so rich if I just bet against my opinion? That's me with this bracket right now.
That's me in the stock market. So a peek now at the Diamonds and Hearts bracket. Just Persson and Hellmuth remain in action at the bottom half. Ball and Kempton will square off in the next round, and Dan Shak awaiting the outcome here. Back over to Spades and Clubs, where only Shaun Winter has moved on. Alex Foxen still hanging tough against Simon Yu. And Rast and I will step aside. Be back shortly.
So am I.
We know Phil Hellmuth is not afraid to stretch these matches out and play a lot of small ball.
You did seem super weak, and I almost re-raised before the flop.
The first hand I flopped 3/8. I had 8, 9 hearts. Would have been bad.
Wow.
I check.
$5,000. Oh.
Ace 9, 6 on the flop in a limp pot, and then Persson bets 5,000, leading out on the turn with that 3-5. Had himself an open ender on the end though. Shuts it down.
Yeah, twice now we've seen that Persson has not bluffed the river. He did stab here with the open end straight
This was a bad
draw.
card for me.
Yeah.
On the turn.
You're gonna make 15,000, I think.
Probably.
And with just the random 7
Good
high
hearts,
and the limped pre-flop pot with 7 deuce there, but so far no river bluffs. So I'm sure Phil Hellmuth is working that out. We'll see if he makes some big folds later on. That would be my guess, is he might make a fold that looks a little big later on a river card.
Right, if he sees any sort of initiative demonstrated by Persson.
Where now he's betting the river, might, you know, fold some strongish, but like mostly bluff catching or just barely beating a weakest value hand type spot. You know, let's keep a lookout.
Getting a peek here at the semi-feature table, where Shaun Deeb is out to an early lead, about 218,000 to 182 to start this pot, where Shorr has flopped himself top pair on the 9-high 2-diamond board. Defended his big after Deeb opened to 5,000 and now is checked and faces a 6K follow-through as Deeb playing somewhat aggressively. Just a flat from Shannon. Now the turn, a coordinated 7 of diamonds, bringing the flush in, giving Shorr 2 pair, and Deeb an open ender.
This is one of the few action cards. You know, Shaun is, okay, he doesn't decide to bluff this. He definitely could have.
And he gets there on the end.
With his kind of open-ended, only jack high, it was a card he could have barreled, and obviously Shorr would not have folded the turn with 2 pair. Now he has the worst hand, and we'll see. He might value bet it himself. If he checks, I think he'll call a bet. Yeah, he value bets it himself.
And a snap call there from Shaun with the 6.
I like the decision to value bet it himself.
With the 6.
I like the decision to value bet it himself there, especially in spots where you're not getting raised by a 6. Because if you're going to, unless you think your opponent's going to bluff a lot when check 2, given them checking back the turn, draw there. Like I said, the thing about Hellmuth is he has this like table presence where he alters the way his opponents are thinking, their state of mind, how they want to play against him, and he manipulates it to his advantage. It is what he does really well. So
2,000.
6-7 suited, an absolutely massive flop here in a limp pot pre. As Hellmuth check calls 2,000 with bottom pair, a gut shot, straight flush draw. does not improve on the river after a check back from Persson,
2,000.
who sprinkled the 2K in there in position with the gutty and then lets it go after Hellmuth tries to milk him on the end.
Phil was doing more with that bet than that. What he didn't want to do was check and face a large bet, and I think he probably decided his opponent wasn't gonna bluff raise him enough there, so he just went with the min bet to control the bet on the river, right? Maybe he was gonna get value from it, but more than anything, he thought that bet would control what his opponent did and make him easier to play against and refrain from seeing a larger bet the other way that he didn't want to see with just a pair of sevens.
Check.
Check.
I still check.
Both players checking this 2-heart 2-ace flop here. Hellmuth has the best of it with jack high. We see a river bluff here from Persson. Now this is something new.
7,000.
We haven't seen this so far. This sizing is a little, okay, so this is what I'm saying. Hellmuth was suspicious because we haven't seen him bluff so far.
Yeah.
Hellmuth gave him credit for it. So
Sure did.
That, which makes a lot of sense to me.
Welcome back to continuing coverage of the 2022 PGT Heads-Up Showdown, the first ever from inside the PokerGO studio at Aria Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. It is Ali Nejad alongside Czar Brian Rast as our feature table rolls on here in this $25,000 buy-in event. Just the top 4 out of 32 will get paid, and it appears Phil Hellmuth has gone to the headphones. Rast, Eric Persson finally getting under his skin. Shaun, Deeb, and Shannon Shorr at our semi-feature table. Deeb currently with a modest chip lead over Shorr as we're coming back from break. Persson with a similarly modest lead. Blinds now at 3,000, 6,000. This has been a real treat. This matchup here between Persson and Hellmuth. Big contrast in personalities. Remind you that today's coverage is brought to you in part by Storm X. Hellmuth not interested in the 7 deuce.
Yeah, but this match taking a little bit longer is definitely something I expected a little bit. I mean, it's hard to know 100% not knowing how Persson's playing, but given the opportunity, it feels like a spot Hellmuth's going to try to take his time and find a spot. We all know that's really Phil Hellmuth's approach.
Well.
All right, here we go. We can get a flop that interacts with these two hands.
Yeah, both players sharing a 5. 16K to skate was the number from Persson. Both players checking the ace-jack-4 board.
So Hellmuth's going to bluff. Oh, okay, not now.
Jack paired on the turn. Check fold as Persson getting busy.
Delayed c-bet.
Strikes me as the kind of guy that likes playing from the lead much, much more. Now, I don't mean to state the obvious. Obviously, I think everybody enjoys playing from the lead, but he really came into his own after he worked his way, wriggled his way back from the early deficit.
Guy with the confidence helped out more than others. Yeah, no, I can see that. I think I agree with you.
Check.
Interesting, Hellmuth just decides to limp this here.
I think he kind of wants to stick it to Persson with like a trappy sort of,
7,000.
you know, punitive showdown. You know what I mean? One that stings, maybe.
Check.
Persson check called the 7K. Followed through on the flop with his gut shot straight draw. Now has 0 showdown value on the end.
$14,000.
14,000.
Wow. Snap folds. We can see that's how little Hellmuth thinks Persson's been bluffing, that, you know, even with a pretty obvious straight draws on the flop, he just snap folded there. It's very curious, actually. I thought maybe Hellmuth would consider him looking him up and finally departing from it. Just given how dry that run out is, and that Persson might not have value bet, say, bottom pair, you know? Just because we haven't really seen Persson do many what I would call thin value bets.
Well, maybe he gives him credit for a 6 after he check called the flop.
Sure.
There you go,
Yeah,
Phil.
but
You win.
I'm a little surprised Phil didn't think about that one. But like I said, because of Persson passing up on bluffing earlier multiple times in pots that got showed down,
He almost stacked
Phil was
off
going to
right
give him
there.
a lot of credit and probably not call
It's a little
some bluff
different.
catcher hands.
I'm
So
going
that
to
was an
end you
example.
cut by cut.
Oh.
Check.
Check.
I check.
Check.
9,000.
Bet 9,000. Cool.
Persson flops the open ender, check calls 9,000 in a limp pot pre.
Check.
Check. Check.
Now, does Phil bluff the river on a blank?
check.
Check.
Ooh, he doesn't.
No,
14,000.
action's
Oh,
on
yeah,
him.
there
yeah.
we go. Yeah.
No
I
showdown.
thought he might bluff the river on a blank there. Thought the showdown, trying to get Persson to either fold a 4 or potentially any hand like Queen 9, Queen 8, 9, 8, those type of hands that he might have had. Nice river bluff by Phil. Makes a lot of sense to me the way he played that.
$16,000.
Raise and take it for Persson. Hellmuth was in a bad way with the 10 tray.
Yeah, even given right now, what is this, 180 to 220? So this is like a 20% chip disadvantage or something. I think Phil Hellmuth is a favorite to win this match,
check.
based
Check.
on what I'm watching.
Check.
Check.
8,000.
8,000.
Yeah, this is a little value / protection by Phil, trying to get overcards to fold. But obviously, I mean, he
Check.
doesn't, not because he's bluffing. 4s could easily be good.
Persson tearing one off with
Ooh.
bottom pair and then making trip deuces on the river now.
15,000.
So now this is a spot where, for me, it makes way less sense to call Phil's hand than it does with the ace-10 on the other hand.
Oh,
Yeah, okay.
look at those deuces. Quads.
So yeah, so Phil is being very consistent. He's not calling bluff catchers. If all he can beat is bluffs, he's not calling.
Checking in once more with Alex Foxen and Simon Yu. Foxen was down to 35,000 or less at one point. Now has fought his way back into the chip lead in this match, improbably.
Call and look at it.
All right. Thinking of a flop.
Me too.
Got to be a little frustrating for Simon. Definitely know that feeling. Like, what is going on here? my opponent was almost out. Now all of a sudden he has more chips than me.
Tell you what, just kind of gives you a sense of how much of a warrior Alex Foxen is.
35.
Nut flush on the river here for Phil Hellmuth in a limp pot pre. Check min raised a 6K bet from Persson on the flop of deuce 7-8, where Persson had the open ender and turned the straight. He then check called 10,000.
See my hand, Phil?
On the turn.
I turn it straight.
And here on the river, he is leading out 72,000.
10 seconds.
An overbet.
This would be a big laydown. He also even has a spade in his hand.
Pivotal moment here for Eric Persson.
Oh, wow.
And a terrific fold.
What a fold.
And folding that one face up,
Show the bluff, huh?
I think is of some value to Persson, perhaps. You?
Yeah, I
Beat you
mean,
hand by hand.
In terms of
Won't always
frustrating,
come
Phil?
spade.
you know, honestly, given the way they've been playing, so kind of a really nice fold for him, because Phil has been playing small pots. Now he finally
Phil.
over bets the river after check raising the flop.
When the spade rolls off.
When the spade rolls off. I mean, it makes all the sense in the world that it's a flush. Now, most people who still pay that off with a straight, and they're like, and I have a spade in my hand or whatever, and Persson figured that one out. He kind of figured out what Phil's doing. So, I mean, that was some strong poker by Persson. So he might have a pretty good beat on Phil as well, because I've kind of been approaching this from the aspect, okay, so how is Phil playing Persson? But there was a glimpse into how Persson's understanding what Phil's doing as well.
16,000.
All in.
All in.
Well, now suddenly Hellmuth looking to ratchet things up as he just piles it in with the ace-queen. A big departure on the heels of having won that pot, and Hellmuth once again in the chip lead.
Yeah, let's see if Phil plays a little more aggressively now or something. Maybe he realizes Persson's has him pegged as waiting for a big hand, which is exactly what happened, and then folded. So now is Phil gonna play a bit more aggressive? Let's see. I don't know.
21 total.
I think Phil will peel this.
Oh.
Yep.
Well, Hellmuth's going to be all too happy to play windshield instead of bug.
Check.
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 Jack 10-5 flop, favoring Persson, who's got middle pair. The gutty doesn't come in for Hellmuth after they both check.
Like to see Phil fold this. I don't like peeling here with 9 high and just a gutter.
42,000?
Oh, wow. Okay. This is an interesting play. Instead of peeling. So this is what I said. He's ratcheting up his aggression. This is better than calling, in my opinion, but looks like it's not going to work. I don't see a re-raise making much sense here. I mean, he's only catching bluffs, but
10 seconds.
he's only beating bluffs.
Want to raise?
Raise with down.
I mean, it'll get the job done because Phil has
75
nothing.
more.
But
75 on top.
You're such a bitch, Phil. You're such a bitch.
Show your hand if you're going to say stupid stuff. Yeah, that may be.
Of course it did. But the fact is, you thought I was going to fold. You just bluffed off at 30 of your chips because you were wrong again. You're going broke today,
What do you
Phil.
think I had when I bet 72,000, big shot?
I think you had me beat. But it doesn't really matter.
That's why you're going to get in drawing dead against me, right there.
Oh, Phil, you're going broke.
I feel as though that moment there may have been the one that crossed the line.
That's why you get drawn dead.
You got no shot today.
yeah, that was
You had
just
the wrong draw.
extremely disrespectful.
Yeah.
So
You're in way over your skis.
Won't be long now.
You're in way over your skis right now.
I'm going to raise you with a full house, and you're going to move in with a pair.
You're
It's
in
going to be
way-
embarrassing, except you're an
you.
amateur. That's what you got to do.
I will say this
Embarrassing
though.
for you. You're in way over your skis right now, kid.
Boundless condescension.
Phil has given boundless condescension and disrespect to people over the years. Now he hasn't done
You're
it to
winning every
Persson.
hand. 4 in a row. I just fold, fold, fold. It's easy. You're just going to whittle me down. I've never thought of that. I'll tell you one thing. If you'll listen, are you going to listen? You don't want to listen. All right, I won't say it. Anytime you think you're running a great player over,
Where's the great player, Phil?
Oh, shoot.
You wouldn't last a week in our game we fucking play. You wouldn't last a week.
in your game, I beat everybody in the world for
Bullshit.
5
You
years.
haven't been there one day at the Bellagio. What the fuck are you talking about? You can lie to everybody. You can't lie to me because we're
What
there.
are you talking about?
We play.
You
the
play a
big
little
game,
10, 20, 40 game
10,
at
20?
Bellagio?
Is that what we play?
I don't know what you play.
You're full
What are
of
you
shit,
talking
man.
about?
You're so full of
10
shit.
seconds. 16 total.
Phil, by the way, we
I've
just
seen you
played
one time, came play a mixed game. One time.
You don't think I can beat the fucking Bellagio game? Then put your money where your mouth is.
Happily.
Okay, I bet you $1 million I can win over. What? Just name the number of sessions.
You're first.
You want to talk money? Put the million up.
I put $1 million up. You want to play heads up for $1 million?
10,000.
Is that what you want to do?
Call.
I play you all day long.
Did you hear what I said?
You said some random thing about a random number of sessions. It really wasn't all that defined.
15,000.
Persson has Phil tilting.
This
and
is where
not
you
even
raised me
playing
last
that
time.
well anymore. Like, I don't even know
See
what
if you
Phil's
got the
doing.
Guts to do it again.
I wouldn't raise you here, Phil. I have the best hand. I need you to bluff off the river.
Okay.
I mean, he's playing Phil like a fiddle right now. It's fucking really strong.
Check.
King high.
Checks down.
Like I said, bitch.
Oh my God.
Why would I raise you there?
You're so stupid. You think your little 10, 20, 40 game at the Bellagio means something.
I don't play 10, 20, 40, Phil.
Whatever you play, you're so ridiculous.
You're going broke, Phil. You got about a third of your chips right now.
Put your money where your mouth is. I bet you $1 million I go beat your little Bellagio game.
Over what
then
period
shut
of time?
up. I
Over
mean,
what
just-
period of time? I'm happy to play with you for $1 million. Look at me. I'm happy to play you for $1 million. I'll take your money.
You and I will play. You and I will
You're
play.
a fish.
You and I will
Phil,
play.
You're so far over your fucking head right now, you have no idea. You're in the wrong game. You're
gonna do some idiot
I'm gonna bust
move.
you right here.
You're gonna do some
bust you
idiot
right here.
move.
You're gonna whine about it, and you're gonna go broke. I check.
Check.
You know what Persson is? He's like
6,000.
an amalgam. He's like every person that Phil's berated over his career combined into one person to take revenge on him right now on TV. And he's doing a good job. I mean, he's starting to really control this match.
For those guys,
the 10-20 game. The truth is,
he's vindication incarnate.
You have no shot.
You're fucking obnoxious, aren't you?
He is
Shut up.
obnoxious.
Put your fucking money where your mouth is.
I already said I would, Bill.
Okay, so I'll play 40 sessions over in your fucking game, and all I got to do is win, right?
No,
and I'll
not
fucking
all you gotta
crush
win.
the game.
You gotta win more than me.
What does that have to do with you and me? Are you you're some kind of crazy maniac?
Oh my God.
Well, you might be tempted to think that about Eric Persson, but this is a man who actually holds.
You and I will play. We will play a bunch of heads up. We'll get each other's number.
5
You
degrees.
can come over and we'll play at the Aria or the Bellagio, or you can come to my house. We can play.
Intern for former U.S. Senator
Yeah,
Richard
you're going
Bryan
broke
from
today.
Nevada. And in the
This thing's almost
crimes
over.
against women and children unit of the DA's office. And as I mentioned earlier, went to Georgetown Law before getting involved in the gaming industry. So,
Check.
Check.
while he may not be in a three-piece suit, this is a man who
Check.
has
I
professional
wonder what you do if you
accolades.
don't hit that deuce in that hand.
12,000.
Wow. Person's a little dialed in here.
Very
All
dialed
the
in.
cards you hit, and you're still gonna come up short.
Folds the deuces to
Bill,
the threes.
you have no chance today.
Jesus. Tell the guys in the fucking that I gotta have my headphones.
You have no chance today, Phil. Look at me. You have no chance. You're going broke today, Phil.
I mean,
That won't save you. Headphones will not save you.
I feel like Phil had a little
I'm not
bit
sure
of
what to
control
say
of this early, but
Well, don't worry. You don't know how to slow down. You're just gonna raise every button.
I don't know how to slow down.
Yeah, you're not a slower downer.
That's nice.
16,000.
You know how to fold.
Person's been in control of this match in
Yeah,
the
I
last
can still
20,
hear you.
30
The
minutes.
headphones
Just
don't
been
help.
crushing.
Yeah.
Perfect laydowns, perfect not laying it down.
He thinks he is.
Got
but
Phil
I've heard
flustered.
a better show than him from Mike Madison and a bunch of other guys for years. He thinks he is, but he is embarrassing himself on television.
Better part of 2 decades I've been calling
14.
poker.
14,000.
And I've called a lot of Phil's matches. And not since Corey Zeidman was on Poker After Dark with Phil have I borne witness to an assault like the one that we're seeing here.
Oh, did Corey
Okay,
go
come
after
to
him?
Papa.
Corey Zeidman?
Just got
I'm
under
gonna
his
just raise
skin.
you now with
Oh,
the
yeah.
nuts in a minute, and you're just gonna move in with second pair again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
75,000
death,
more,
Phil.
Phil.
Nick.
75,000 more.
Nick.
16,000.
42,000.
42,000.
Oh, the dirty typer. Phil is putting in an aggressively large amount of his chips here with
This
nothing.
is absurd. This is completely absurd. I mean, this may be case in point that the wheels are off for
I
Hellmuth
mean-
here. He wants to roll this one over.
He does.
Oh, I'm so shocked that he didn't. I thought he really wanted to stick this one.
Let's bust you one hand at a time. One hand at a time. Little paper cut, paper cut.
Son, I have a lot of
I'm
paper
not your
cuts.
boy.
I have a lot of paper cuts, and I just keep winning these matches one after
You're
another.
not going to win this match.
So you've said 100 times.
And so I'll show you. Once.
It won't be long
This
now.
dude's got some
I'm gonna
lip,
raise you on
man.
the turn, and you're gonna just donk it off.
Yeah. That's what's going to happen.
You can't help it.
If you don't make that straight, you're broke
You're gonna
right
just
now.
give me all the money with like king queen or some shit.
You don't make it straight with your 10 queen.
You almost
you're
gave
broke.
it to me with queen jack.
Oh, Phil, you'll be broke soon enough.
16,000. Call.
Check.
Check back.
Well, look no further than the king of diamonds or
Check.
the eight of
Check.
spades if you want to run a 23andMe test after this
Check.
Check.
match is over. On the heels of Hellmuth
15,000.
getting a taste of his left index finger. Has the straight here. Gets through the ace high.
Persson's been making the correct decision post-flop on these rivers and whatever quite a bit.
I will tell you this.
Turns and
You were the
rivers.
last person I wanted to play today because it's like, it's so obnoxious.
You didn't know how
play a better
obnoxious.
play than, I'd much rather play a player that's much better than you that's not going to be so obnoxious.
You didn't even know how obnoxious I was till you played me today.
I know. And now I'm saying it.
I'm the one that's going to beat you. That's what's happening right now. You're getting beat. I check.
Check.
What is wrong with you? Some kind of sicko? You just think by saying stuff out loud over and over it's going to happen? That's how you run your life? I use that trick too. I think you're drawing dead. You have this chip that looks like you have the lead.
I check.
Check. Check.
Hellmuth has hit an 8 here. Persson flops second pair, now picks up the gutty to go with it. Best hand.
Okay.
Bets 10 and gets called.
I check.
Check.
Checks down. Very nice.
What, are you going to make fun of the way I fold too? What is wrong with you, bro?
Let's go.
You could be a narcissist.
I could
the way
be.
you're acting. Could be. Only a narcissist is that unaware of what's happening around them. A true narcissist.
16,000.
Oh, some armchair psychology by Mr. Hellmuth.
Well, he is married to
Check.
Check dark.
psychologist.
Check.
Check.
Psychiatrist, rather. His wife, Catherine. Correction.
Oh, here the lean back.
Oh my goodness. Quad kings for Persson, putting on the real theatrics here. And this ace-9 is a lot of hand heads up.
Oh no, don't raise here. Don't do the act and then raise. Just call, man, and then just bet the river or something. No, okay.
5 session return.
But it's still too much acting.
Yeah, I think Hellmuth checks.
14.
Oh,
14,000.
debate.
I mean, he's really laying it on thick. Okay.
I mean, at this point, there's a absolute correlation between hand strength and.
Listen, this
But
amount
he's
of studying
overdoing
and then
it to the
raising
point. He's overdoing it to the point that I think it's like with the intention of
I want to
being
give you this.
really blatant.
I'm going to raise.
I mean, come on. How has anyone this struggled and then
I'm all in.
raises you?
Raise all in.
There we go.
Fuck. You cooler after cooler as you hem and haw and let me know you have a king. It's so sick.
Is that what I have? A king?
Cooler after cooler. Thank God for all the amateur hemming and hawing.
Yeah. Thank
Wow,
God.
another cooler.
Players are up 4-8.
You would have busted some people with all that acting. You threw the time extension in early. It's actually humorous if I wasn't getting so unlucky every fucking hand.
Eight's a call.
You're almost dead, Phil. You're almost broke. You're going to have to take a stand in a second. I think anything like queen 8 or higher, you should think about shoving.
Man,
Otherwise, you're going to go out
can you
like
just
a
shut
little,
the fuck up?
like a little bitch.
Paul, can I get, can I get some protection? Like in a normal tournament, the obnoxious guy would be, they'd give him a
Listen
penalty.
to Phil.
No, call him
Phil
over.
must know what happens to the
Paul,
obnoxious guy.
I'm asking for some protection.
All right.
Come over, Paul. I'm asked you to come up. Will you please come up? This guy's been completely out of line for like an hour. I'm really getting sick of it. In any other tournament on the planet, I don't have to put up with this bullshit. They just kick the guy out or give him a penalty. He needs to be warned for a penalty because I've had enough of this bullshit. I mean, it's just so obnoxious. I don't even want to be here playing this fucking event with a fucking guy like this. It's ridiculous. Bring me a fucking great player or someone like a great businessman who's a nice guy, not this bullshit.
All right,
He needs to have a warning.
I'm giving him a warning. It's been.
He should have a warning.
And by the
too,
way, it's more
to
than
be
fair. Oh, you want to try to get me a warning?
And listen to him.
You got your warning.
Play your hand.
We have to reciprocate.
Go.
I mean,
It's
a lot of the
ridiculous. I haven't
talking
put up
has
with
been
this
back
much
and
abuse,
forth.
ever.
I'll be
just
frank,
keep ramming?
my opinion,
How does
having
this
watched
work?
this, is the biggest
Paul.
thing that's out of line was the double middle fingers.
Agreed.
Beyond
Can you come
that,
up, Paul?
they've both been jousting, both been talking.
Yeah,
a lot
check.
of the engagement from Persson happened because
8,000
Hellmuth was saying things to him.
Hellmuth binks the queen as Persson turns an open ender. Limp pot pre, both players check the flop. 8 dimes ahead, and now on the river, Persson has made the straight.
35,000.
Wow, he got there again. This is crazy. I mean, it's just bad enough he's fucking just keeps outdrawing me every hand. Do I get a 10 or something? This is ridiculous.
Hellmuth down to just 52,000.
Now you can speak up because now we're going to give you a penalty and you're
6
going to
big
ante
blinds.
off like 100,000 while you're gone. This is fucking me? This is me? You already gave the guy a fucking warning.
Phil can't help himself, man.
Don't try to turn this into me.
Yeah,
Fuck.
Phil, you've been the only one talking.
This is just ridiculous. I mean, I've just...
Since the warning was issued.
Since the warning. But, I mean, listen, before they were both doing a lot of talking. To be fair, Phil didn't mind until Persson started whooping his butt in the poker, which he did. Now, there was some luck
the World
involved,
Series of
but some
Poker.
good
If you're at
play.
my table, you will get kicked out so fast, it'll be sick.
Does he just get to do that?
Oh, you want to complain about me, huh?
I'm asking the question.
You want to complain about me? Fucking motherfucking asshole.
See that?
Won't shut the fuck up.
That's a warning for you. You can't. You both have a warning.
Now both players have a warning.
You gave me a warning. You gave me a warning, Paul.
Things are getting ugly out here,
Yeah.
Rast.
Well, I mean, really, the double middle fingers should have gotten an instant penalty, not even a warning.
Oddly enough, Phil didn't call for Paul at that
Yeah.
point, which
That was
I really
way
think would
over
be
the line.
well within his right to have done.
Of course. That was way over the line.
Go. Raise. You get 2,000.
Hellmuth tries to limp in.
I mean, Persson's just has the best hand every hand. For a
He's
little
sun
while.
running.
He is.
What do you think it's so funny, huh?
This is a humorous match, though. Oh my God! Now he has aces. I need to.
All in.
I call.
Oh my God!
Let's go.
Oh, nice hand.
Hellmuth.
I mean, I have four
Well,
big
it's king
blinds.
three
I have a
against
king.
aces.
He has aces.
Jams
He has
it.
2 suits.
Actually, he only has 1 suit, but.
I'll tell you right now, I won't play another event, heads-up championship, if this man's in the field. So I'm just going to tell you guys. Or I need better protection, and I know we'll talk about it, but.
Well, here is the moment. And Phil Hellmuth is about as big a dog as you can be pre-flop and hold him. 89 to 11%.
Well, you got to me, buddy. Congratulations.
I just got in with the best, didn't I?
Yeah, your strategy
7 deuce rainbow, and now Hellmuth just 2%. Needs 2 runners.
It's not going to be any love lost between these guys.
It's over.
There it is.
Eric Persson defeats Phil Hellmuth.
10 years.
Yeah. Yes, that's that.
He called his shot.
He did.
Eric, just hang on a second. We're doing an interview.
Okay.
What do you think, Ollie?
Yeah, you thought that was going to happen?
I stopped thinking it was funny, I think, after the double middle finger moment.
Yeah.
Things started to get darker for me.
Yeah.
And granted, as we check in on Deeb and Shorr here, what you said is true. Hellmuth has been guilty of condescension and disrespect toward many people throughout the years. Perhaps we give him a pass because many of us know him away from the felt, and we know what a great human being he can be. Perhaps it's because he's as accomplished a player as he is, or he's a wonderful ambassador to the game. And there is some debate as to whether or not there isn't some partiality, some bias, some favoritism, that benefit that he gets that others would not. And I'm not here to opine, but maybe this was a spoonful of the medicine that over the years Hellmuth has willfully dispatched to many others. I don't think he's ever taken it quite as far as what I saw there, but maybe I'm just having selective amnesia. Just people are going to be talking about that match and the exchanges between those two for some time.
Oh, that's going to be on Twitter,
yeah,
no doubt.
No doubt.
And I agree with a lot of what you just said. I think it was a very good breakdown. I don't have a lot to add beyond what I've already said over the last hour. But yeah, this here is an interesting hand. Shorr.
Defended as big after the 16K open from Deeb. Check raised the flop from 8 to 20,000 with just 10 high. And Deeb got sticky with that king-queen. On the turn, Shorr let out for 19,000 after Deeb picked up the gutty. He called once more, and here Shorr shuts it down after fortuitously hitting that 10 on the turn, but now being faced with the all-in from Deeb.
Yeah, wow, okay. I was wondering whether Deeb was going to turn this into a bluff or try to show down the king high. He has a club, pretty good card. He's blocking some flushes.
Shorr has one as well.
Shorr has an interesting hand to bluff catch with here. 10, the 5 of clubs, you know.
That's a poor card for him to hold, though, is it
No,
not?
it blocks flushes, and
but maybe some of those combo
action,
draws.
But, you know, 5 deuce. Yeah, check bet raise. I mean, given a check raise on the flop and a call, and the bet call on the turn, I mean, blocking flushes is big. Not that you need a flush to value bet here, but it's obviously a good card. Tricky spot for sure.
Yeah, and he finds the call. Deeb instantly wraps the table.
What the fuck are you doing?
Let's send it down to Jeff Platt, who was standing by with none other than Eric Persson.
Now you're bluffing the flop.
Well, Eric, that was certainly quite the show for us. What was it like for you?
I mean, that match went pretty much exactly as I expected. I knew I was going to take most of the hands, and he was going to make a lot of critical errors. The game's kind of passed him by, is the truth.
You told me that you thought you'd be able to get under his skin. Mission accomplished?
I mean, everyone knows Phil loves to talk. He called me a bunch of names. He gets a little sensitive when it comes back to him. But I don't really think he can have it both ways. And I think Phil's earned everything he's got.
Did that trash talk get into your head at all in any way, or did you almost enjoy it?
I enjoyed it. Like, at the end of the day, he's not getting in my skin. I mean, this is about poker. This is about skill. This is about math. And, you know, he got early lucky with his 10 queen, made a straight when I made aces. Other than that, I crushed him the whole match. I mean, the stream speaks for itself.
And finally, Eric, do you think we'll see any future battles between you and Hellmuth heads up?
Well, I mean, Phil offered to play me heads up. He berated all the 10, 20 players over at the Bellagio, which he has no chance of beating, let alone me. So, you know, who knows? I mean, if he's man enough to step up, I'd take his money, but what do I really care at the end of the day?
All right, we'll see. Best of luck in round 2. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You got it. Guys.
Well, thanks, Jeff.
All right. Gauntlet has been laid.
Yeah.
Throw it down. But I want to see a follow-up heads-up match between them personally.
High stakes duel match, right?
Whatever. Get them on. 100,000, 200,000. What was that thing Hellmuth was playing? That was the high stakes duel, right? Get them on. Let's get them playing some heads-up matches.
Well, speaking of playing a match, Shannon Shorr dug deep there. That call that he made with that 10-5 was for his tournament life.
And Deeb sitting there talking to himself.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
I think that was about probably the flop check raise with the 10-5 on the ace-7-3. That would be probably.
How do you show up with that hand is really what Deeb is asking himself. As we visit with Richie Sklar and Justin Young. Sklar all in and at risk with King 9 against the Ace-Jack. For Justin Young. To the flop, it is ace high with 2 spades, and well, doesn't get a lot worse.
Look at that flop. That's a nice flop.
Flush draw versus top pair? Top pair and flush draw versus.
Gut shot straight draw.
Or 3 outs. 3 outs.
Actually found some equity there.
Yeah.
Yeah, non-spade 7.
Non-spade 7. Can I bet on the dome?
No.
Just 3 outs for Sklar.
Flex
And that's not one of them. Aces and jacks on the end for Justin Young as he finishes off. Richie Sklar punches his ticket into the next round where he will await the winner of the Shannon Shorr Shaun Deeb match.
All right, Mr. Young, I'll take you over here, please.
Yeah, bring.
Of course.
Let's go.
I wouldn't want you to be doing that.
And here is that match as we revisit. By the way, Eric Persson now going to move on to face Dan Shak. And I can tell you right now, Dan Shak is not going to care for any of that trash talk if Persson were to bring it to that match, which I'm not certain that he would, by the way. I think it seemed as though Eric was well aware of Phil's reputation and kind of was eager to give him a taste of what he felt like was his own medicine. Deeb limping the deuce-4 pre and now hits a deuce on the turn. He's up against the 7s for Shorr after it went check-check. Shorr checks again.
Doesn't really feel like anything other than a call is coming here from Shannon. Don't see any reason to raise and don't know why he would fold, given the flop got checked and he has a pair.
8 on the river. Shorr still with the best hand. And Deeb shut it down.
7? Yeah.
Yeah, he has showdown with the pair of 2s.
Let's send it over to Jeff Platt again.
Justin Young defeats Richie Sklar to move on to the round of 16. All right, every time I looked over at this table, it looked like you guys were having an absolute blast. Describe how much fun you had in that matchup.
I mean, it's always nice to play against someone that's talkative and wants to chat it up with you a little bit. But like Richie was like far and above like all of that. Just every hand is just we're talking about what we have and what we should have had, and it was just great. Everything was just super easy, no stress at all.
What went right for you in this match?
I think I had an ace in my hand about 40% of the time. That's all I have to say. Like, I mean, I think he beat me in one big pot where I had 2 pair against his flush draw, or flush. That's it. Like, everything else went my way.
You gonna go scout this Shorr Deeb matchup, see you're taking on?
I can't wait.
You're gonna study all the film too, right?
I mean, I'm gonna go home, practice GTO, and I'm gonna play heads up against my dog. And, you know, if he beats me, he beats me. But, you know, this is where he sleeps tonight.
We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for the time, as always.
Thanks, Jeff.
Ollie.
Thanks, Jeff. And certainly, we knew that those two were going to have a blast facing off against one another. A blast is not how I would describe either of these players' experience having to face off with one another here. Both have held the chip lead, and currently it belongs to Shannon Shorr, who has battled back.
Yeah, Shorr's definitely, I'd expect him to size up a decent amount here. And the question for Deeb will be, does he call or does he jam, really, with second pair on the flop and now an open-ender?
Limp pot pre, Deeb check call, 12 dimes on the flop, as Shorr was being a little tricky with these 2 10s, and now on the turn, Deeb picking up that open-ender with second pair, faces a bet of 35,000.
Yeah, I mean, nearly pot, which is a pretty large sizing, given that there isn't that much to play in stacks. Deeb not going to fold. Kind of has to decide what he's going to do here between call and jam.
A little weird off of 120K, isn't it?
Yeah. He's got to decide, okay, if I call and my opponent has nothing, how often is he bluffing the river? He goes with jam,
yeah,
which is reasonable.
And Shorr knew what he was going to do if that's what it came to. Deeb 13 outs once here. If he hits, he'll have a 280 to 120K chip lead. Is it there? No, it isn't. The 9 pairs, and Shannon Shorr has defeated Shaun Deeb. And we'll move on to face Justin Young. As we draw ever closer to the conclusion of the round of 32 here at the inaugural PGT Heads-Up Showdown. Just 2 matches still remain.
No, I think just one.
Oh, just one.
Just the Foxen U match where Foxen was on fumes and has come back. Last we looked, he had a small chip lead, but it was even.
That was the second of the 2 matches that remained. And how improbable is it that this is the match that is still in progress? Foxen was once down to 35,000. We're going to head to a quick break. As you see the Spades and Clubs bracket almost complete. Just the Foxen U match. Shaun Winter waiting to find out who he's playing. Everything complete over in the Diamonds and Hearts side. Here in the conclusion of day 1 of the 2022 PGT Heads-Up Showdown.
This is not like an NBA playoffs best-of-7 series where the better team is a pretty large favorite to win. This is definitely something where anybody can win. Anybody can win one of these matches.
Check.
Okay.
Jack 8 suited. 3Xing.
Ooh.
Hellmuth defends with the king-queen. He's got a gut shot straight draw. He checked dark, a check back from the open-ender. Board pairs now on the turn. Hellmuth checks again.
Hellmuth's going to call this with his king-high showdown value and equity here. I'd be surprised if he does anything other than call, frankly.
Sub-third pot, the sizing from Persson, which of course gets called. Another 14 added to the pot.
Check.
And the board double pairs on the river. King-high for Hellmuth. And are we going to see a bluff out of Persson here?
He escaped.
No,
The
he
queen's
checks
good or
back and
something.
shows
Yeah.
I was calling
Jack
the river.
high.
That's why I checked, Bill.
Good check.
Phil might not have actually been calling the river. No, he might have, definitely. There's
I
no
think he
reason.
might have.
Yes, but him saying, I was calling the river.
It's a free roll.
That's a little bit of gamesmanship right
Sure,
there.
sure.
I think if he bet, given how little we've seen Persson bluff the river, it's been one time and Phil didn't call to find out, by the way. He definitely might not have. That said, it's gamesmanship there because Phil wants Persson to keep playing the way he's been playing. So that 100% was, to me, why that comment was spoken. Whether or not, it's not so much about the truth of it, but more about what he's trying to manipulate Persons to do.
Check.
Hellmuth limping the ace-king on the button. Flops
Check.
the Broadway draw against the open-ender. A blank deuce on the turn as no chips are deposited post-flop.
Ace high.
Good.
And Persson showing the 10 tray. I don't think there's really any need to do that because obviously you're giving Hellmuth free information he hasn't paid for. Now Phil knows that
match could have been over if you had ace-queen there and
open-ender.
And I jam it and you decide to call off.
Never bet it.
You're not going to win, Phil. Match couldn't be over.
Seiver's in a great spot here. Oh, a 3 on the flop, though.
Easy as that.
Not what he wanted to see.
Loaded, baby. There's not a single card in the deck that can change this one. Sorry, Scott. Looks like today wasn't your day.
Paul, block on camera. Thank you.
Scott appears unamused.
You know the odds of him hitting a turn?
And the turn is a 5. Some opportunities for the
There's not a
ace-10.
single card in the deck I'm worried about.
Kempton trying to will a hold through. And he's done it as he took the worst of it and will offer up his stack for a countdown.
You know, this is not like an NBA playoffs best-of-7 series where the better team is a pretty large favorite to win. This is definitely something where anybody can win. Anybody can win one of these matches.
Check.
Okay.
Jack 8 suited. 3xing.
Ooh.
Hellmuth defends with the king-queen. He's got a gut shot straight draw. He checked dark, a check back from the open-ender. Board pairs now on the turn. Hellmuth checks again.
Hellmuth's going to call this with his king-high showdown value and equity here. I'd be surprised if he does anything other than call, frankly.
Sub-third pot, the sizing from Persson, which of course gets called. Another 14 added to the pot.
Check.
And the board double pairs on the river. King-high for Hellmuth. And are we going to see a bluff out of Persson here?
He escaped.
No,
The
he
queen's
checks
good or
back and
something.
shows
Yeah.
the
I was calling
Jack
the river.
high.
That's why I checked, Phil.
Good check.
Phil might not have actually been calling the river. No, he might have, definitely. There's
I
no
think he
reason.
might have.
Yes, but him saying, I was calling the river.
It's a free roll.
That's a little bit of gamesmanship right
Sure,
there.
sure.
I think if he bet, given how little we've seen Persson bluff the river, it's been one time and Phil didn't call to find out, by the way. He definitely might not have. That said, it's gamesmanship there because Phil wants Persson to keep playing the way he's been playing. So that 100% was, to me, why that comment was spoken. Whether or not, it's not so much about the truth of it, but more about what he's trying to manipulate Persons to do.
Check.
Hellmuth limping the ace-king on the button. Flops
Check.
the Broadway draw against the open-ender. A blank deuce on the turn as no chips are deposited post-flop.
Ace high.
Good.
And Persson showing the 10 tray. I don't think there's really any need to do that because obviously you can. Nightfall on the Vegas Strip inside the PokerGo studio where the conclusion of day 1 is presumably just around the corner here at the inaugural PGT Heads-Up Showdown. We have relocated Simon Yu and Alex Foxen to our feature table, the last match to be played in the round of 32. Ali Nejad and Rast burning the late night oil with you. And I would imagine that this is going to be a slightly less contentious coupling than the one that preceded it here at the feature table, as Daniel Negreanu has already taken to social media to offer his thoughts on the Eric Persson-Phil Hellmuth match. Rast, what do you got?
I would be surprised if any match is that contentious for quite a while. You know, I think it was a match where for quite a while everything seemed fine. You know, a lot of back and forth, a lot of challenging, a lot of not taking any shit. But, ooh. So you gonna call here or not? He has an interesting decision. Anyway, while he thinks about it, you know, then it got to the moment where I kind of feel like Persson stepped over the line with a double bird. Well, not kind of. He definitely stepped over the line. That could have been a penalty. Phil didn't call the floor. I do think that as Phil started to lose and the berating just kept on going nonstop, Phil started to get upset. I mean, Phil's hyper-competitive, and losing his play started to deteriorate. Actually got to the point where Persson was like massively outplaying him, which wasn't happening prior to that. And then Phil started to get very annoyed with it. By the end of it, both were way over the line. Phil was, you know, throwing assholes his way and this, and after getting a penalty called on him, was then not
Shannon
shutting
Shorr
up
moves
himself,
on to the round of
continuing
16
to
after beating Shaun Deeb. Shannon, it seemed like an absolute marathon match to us. Describe to us what it was like to be in the mix.
Yes, we definitely went back and forth. The stack swung quite a bit. At one point, I was up 3-1, and then he was up 3-1. We had a couple coin flips. I made a big call that was right at the end. That felt pretty good. And then got it in again. I had an overpair versus a pair and an open-ender at the end. Won that. Fortunate to be here.
Did you feel like it was a battle of almost mutual respect? I mean, you guys have been around this for a while now.
No doubt. We've been playing together since probably 2004, 2005 online. And probably in a past life, we played a lot of those same hands in a heads-up sit and go on PokerStar somewhere. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. Shaun's a terrific player.
We were just talking before we went on. How much do you enjoy this event and mixing things up by firing off a heads-up tournament?
This is great because I don't play much heads-up, no limit these days, as probably most of the field just doesn't. The games just don't run that often. But it's really fun to just mix up from playing full ring. You know, you actually get to make some decisions with 9-4 off and Jack-6 off. And, yeah, every hand you're just battling. So I really enjoy it.
And finally, Shannon, it's Justin Young for you. Give us a second round preview.
This will be great because he's another one of my longest friends in the business. We go back probably 2005, 2006 as well. So it'll be a lot of fun just hanging out with him. And may the best man win.
We'll see you tomorrow. Best of luck.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Shannon. Ollie?
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, you encapsulated it very well when you said that there was perhaps Phil Hellmuth was receiving something viscerally, emotionally for all that he had given out to amateurs over the years. Whether or not that was warranted or should have happened by Persson, you know, it kind of felt like that's where that was coming from.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure some people view it as karmically righteous, but that's not for us to decide. Everybody's going to formulate their own opinion. The focal point now is these two guys. In a match where Alex Foxen once was down to 35,000, he's worked his way back into the chip lead. And Simon Yu raising it up with just king high on that paired flop, taking it down. And Simon's really held his own. Obviously, he's going to be a bit disappointed not to have finished Alex off earlier when he was down to that 35K. But since then, has gathered himself and obviously is still fighting. This not his line of work. Co-founder and CEO of Storm X, which has been a supporter of what we're doing inside the PokerGO studios of late. Certainly thankful for that support. Limp pot pre.
Both players with a gutter. You with a spade. Decides to not continue bluffing, and this card improves both hands, but Foxen's considerably more.
Yeah, the king high straight for Alex, 40K in the middle.
Question here is, does he check and try to bluff catch versus nothing hands, or does he bet himself, try to get some hands that might have improved on the 10 to call? He decides to bet, goes for a big sizing.
I call.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Woo. Queen 7 you got.
Lucky river.
Well, queen high was good, as it turns out. And Simon just bluff catching there. Maybe thought he was up against some busted spades.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be what he sees when he wins.
And Foxen picked the right sizing there. 35K. So meaningful, as they're not really playing deep stack poker here. 27 bigs to 12 bigs, and this is as deep as any match has gone in the first round. So credit to both of the combatants. Grinding away at one another. 5,000, 10,000 the blinds.
5,000 total.
And Simon getting after it with the jack deuce. Had way the best of it. And Foxen tosses the dirty diaper into the muck. I'm impressed with Simon. Obviously, we didn't have a chance to really watch this match over at the outer table, but the fact that he was able to get Foxen down to 35K is a feat in and of itself, regardless of outcome. And then the fact that he's been able to center himself and continue to fight and battle, despite having allowed Foxen to climb back into a fairly sizable chip lead, shows a lot of grit.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a few of these hands that we've watched since we've come here have shown a bit of his inexperience. I mean, King 4 off, I believe, heads up for 12 blinds is good enough to just open jam.
Been a long one.
Much less, calling and folding to a 2.7x seems a little tight for my taste. And, you know, then the last hand, to me, calling the end, especially, I mean, he had a spade in his hand himself. It feels like a below average bluff catcher to me. But, yeah, I mean, certainly he's had to do some things right. We didn't probably get to see many of them off camera.
Obviously, he's nowhere near as refined as his opponent in this situation. That much is given.
I'm only giving analysis for the hands that I've seen.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I think, though, that some of the thought processes are there. Obviously, there is still work to be done, but I just like where his head's at overall, and I think that there's a bright future should Simon Yu continue to endeavor to partake in these high rollers.
10 high.
Limp pot, 3 streets of checking. Foxen rode the gut shot to victory unimproved. And Simon is down to just north of 10 bigs. Might start to see some of those all-ins coming your way. We take a minute to remind you that Day 1 coverage of the first ever PokerGO Heads-Up Showdown was available for free on YouTube. We certainly love having you with us. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a clip. And I know some of you are joining us on Twitch, Facebook, and in front of the paywall on the PokerGO app. A warm welcome to all of you here as we are in the final throes of Day 1 action here. Or what we would presume to be the final throws. And Simon rips it in there with 4 high, Rast.
You know that, yeah, I mean, that was a pretty ballsy play there. On the King Jack 5 rainbow flop, but so it clearly shows he has some grit. You know what? I think that what we saw earlier between Persson and Hellmuth, to me, one of the things that I took away is it takes 2 to tango. So you can say which things you thought were more egregious, and I think clearly the most egregious thing was the double bird flipping.
Sure.
That said, earlier in the match, I had been commenting that Phil had this like no engagement strategy. He kind of wanted to let his opponent think he was running over him. He didn't want his opponent to bluff and play aggressively, and it was working. But what happened at some point, Phil decided to change tacks and started verbally engaging and jousting, and Persson just didn't let that go. Persson wasn't going to let Phil ever get the best in a verbal engagement. He made that very clear. And then so it became this escalation, which Persson, in my opinion, did the most egregious thing. But throughout the next 30, 40 minutes, which we saw, both players had moments where they stepped over the line. Motherfucker this, asshole that, whatever. I mean, you know, unpleasantries were exchanged.
All in.
You know, it is what it is.
I call.
And Simon Yu limp calls the all-in from Alex Foxen with a couple of 8s and is in good shape here to double into the chip lead.
Well played by Simon. I like that line with 8s. I think it's a nice line. The limp
Give
call.
Rigby a break.
GTO approved off of 13 blinds, and
no issue with the all-in from Foxen with the ace-5 suited either.
Pretty standard hand, but I'm just saying I like use line. I mean, one of the things about limping with eights here is when you raise, you like let's say your opponent has a really bad hand, like 10-3 off. They might fold, but you keep in the 10-3 offs and the 9 deuce off and the 6 deuces off by limping, and those hands eights obviously crush either one or 0 overcards, right? And then, occasionally get your opponent to do a pre-flop bluff. If your opponent has a really good hand, they're going to get in with you anyway, etc. So it's it's a good way to play middle pairs off of these really short stack depths.
There are worse flops for ace-5 than 6 trade deuce, as Foxen picks up 4s as outs to add to the 3 aces at the top of the board. The board pairs now, and the 8s sit pretty, 84% to hold and double through. Got to fade an ace or a 4.
9 of diamond.
Jack of spades.
And the river is a 4 of diamonds. Foxen makes the 6-eye straight. No justice. And Simon Yu comes over to show some love to Alex Foxen, who
That is a brutal way to end it.
got all he could handle out of Simon Yu. I think Alex himself was somewhat impressed with Simon's tenacity, and certainly hope that we have more opportunities to call Simon Yu action in the future. We know we'll have plenty with Alex Foxen, as he will move on and face Shaun Winter in the next round. Here's a look at the Diamonds and Hearts bracket, which is complete, as is day 1. Got my eye on that Dan Shak, Eric Persson match. Rast. Be interesting to see what version of Eric Persson shows up for that one. And of course, Shaun Winter, Alex Foxen. That's going to be a battle. Negreanu Nakamura, Seidel Elias. This is going to be good stuff heading in to day 2. Always good stuff when we send it down to Jeff Platt, standing by with Alex Foxen. The winner of the last match, the longest of day 1.
Well, Alex, what a battle. You were short stack right off the bat. What led to this comeback?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had the raw end of the cards in the beginning, lost a bunch of pots. Simon played really well, and it was a tough opponent. I just had some fortunate all-ins, especially the last one, and managed to get the win.
You can tell Simon has a real passion for poker. What do you see in his poker future?
Yeah, I was impressed. When he sat down, he told me he had no heads-up experience, and I thought he played really well, all things considered, and I was impressed with the way he handled himself.
Up next for you is Shaun Winter. Preview that matchup for us, please.
Shaun's a lot of fun to play against. So I'm looking forward to it. He's definitely got a unique style, and it's always interesting to play against Shaun.
Appreciate the time as always. See you tomorrow. Thanks
Alex.
Jeff. Ali.
Thanks, Jeff. Well, plenty to unpack after round 1, and I am certain that overnight we are going to be witness to quite a few threads breaking down what we saw during the second half of today's action. Tomorrow begins the round of 16 and the quarterfinals. Each player who wins will be playing 2 matches on the day. The first round of 16, 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 Eastern, and then the quarters at 5 p.m. You won't want to miss it. In the meantime, on behalf of our entire crew here in Las Vegas, our man on the sidelines, Jeff Platt, and my partner, Brian Rast, this is Ali Nejad saying so long, and we'll see you tomorrow.